What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Who You Got With
MELO
and RADO is a sport podcast where we talk about your favorite sports highlights, sports debates, and sports matchups. And what a hell of a week for sports it has been. It's the middle of January. Hello, what's good,
Mm-hmm.
man?
Not
2022.
much, not much. We are pretty much 13, about 14 weeks into the NBA season, so things are starting to warm up.
That's right.
We are in the wild card in the NFL playoffs, so things been warming up. Now they finally getting hot, and we are 1 week away from a very spicy weekend. Talking about next level when it comes to talking about UFC 270.
UFC,
Francis Ngannou versus Stroke Game. So you already know what it is.
of
January is such
course.
a holy grail for sports. We've been saying that the last few weeks, and pretty much that's what we're here for. So this week is NFL playoffs. We just dropped an episode about that. Talk
Mhm.
a lengthy time about the matchups, of the predictions, everything that happened. And now I want you to tell them what we're here today for.
Oh, for sure. We definitely here to talk about some NBA and like you said, so much sports happening in January. I love it. I mean, you already talked about NFL,
Yeah, you've been
of
into it,
course,
huh?
and I mean, January is a great time for sports. Obviously, February too, because February is going to be the Olympics coming up, but Winter Olympics. But
Mm-hmm.
for sure, right now we definitely got to talk about the NBA. You know, we just rolling in the pretty much the thick of it, middle of the season, 35 games in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's pretty much like you could see what team is pretty much on the top, what team is kind of like falling towards the bottom, who's going to be making some moves towards the trade deadline. You can kind of speculate by now and figure out what teams like are in which direction they're going. So I'm
For
definitely
sure.
loving the way the season is going, and I'm definitely loving. I'm definitely ready to talk about it. How about you?
Oh no, for sure. We've been pretty much consistent every week with our NFL episodes, and then letting NBA take a sort of a back seat. Obviously, in a few weeks there will be no more NFL, so we'll
Right.
pretty much be full on NBA plus our UFC and our fights, our boxing matches. So the last time you heard from us was beginning of December, about a little over a month ago. We were just under or just about 2 months into the season.
Hmm.
Things are just starting to warm up. Obviously, like you just said, we're one more month deeper than that, and things are starting to settle.
Yeah.
Teams that were good that weren't supposed to be good. Now there's some that stayed good. That at this point you got to say they're serious. You know,
Right.
some who finally dropped back down the rankings and they came back to earth per se.
Yeah.
Some good teams still in the middle of the pack, kind of wondering what's going on. But as we explained last episode, this year because of COVID is such a tricky year. At this point, a lot of people and a lot of teams are getting plagued, not only with their own personal injuries, but with health and restrictions because of COVID. So this has
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously been a hectic year, up and down.
Yeah, that's for
Some
sure.
good things, some bad things.
There's been over 110 pickups from the G League, 110 10-day. I'm sorry, that was wrong to say. 68 G Leaguers picked up 110 10-day contracts made this year alone, and that's the most obviously in any year. The most before was around like 60, and that was obviously in 80 games. We're already 30 games in, and they already got the record. So you could tell that a lot of teams
No, it's gonna be bad.
I mean,
I
there's
didn't
teams
even
that are
know it
picking
was
up.
that
Yeah,
bad.
there's teams that are
That's
picking up guys, 4 or 5 guys at a night for 10-day contracts. You know, for like 2 3 games at a time. So right now it's like yeah, it's tough to judge. Like a lot of teams aren't cohesive as much
mhm.
because of that. But you know, the
Yep.
teams that are staying together are obviously like on the top for a reason. And there's definitely some that are still together without COVID hitting them, and they're still not
They
playing
just
the way
not
they
going.
should
Yeah.
be. You know, so it's really crazy to see. Like even though like there's some certain teams that are getting hit really bad, they're still playing a pretty decent game with those guys that are coming in. You know, out of nowhere. People would say, you know,
And that's the craziest part. Obviously, that's why you love sports because every team is reacting different. Like you
right,
said, there's certain teams who aren't losing anyone that should be a lot higher than they are.
right.
And
Let
there's
me
other
just say who
teams
I was
who
talking. I
signed
was
them
definitely talking
five
about the
days.
Lakers. I was definitely talking about the Lakers when I meant that. You know, like they're not really losing that many people to COVID, and they're not doing good.
Bro, every time you say that, I think about the Celtics.
Them as
They
well. They
they a little bit more when it comes to COVID restrictions,
true.
but in
Well, and
reality, they've been hitting this. I feel like they've been average with the rest of the league when
Yes.
when it comes to COVID. It's the same thing with them.
But
There's a
then you
few
got
teams
other
that haven't
teams.
been doing it.
Yeah, but then you got other teams like, Memphis that's got a couple guys coming in, with COVID, and also obviously Brooklyn, who I mean, obviously they've gotten hit pretty bad. The whole league knows about it.
So
Obviously
bad.
Kyrie just coming in just on away games, but they're still winning games. I mean, they just obviously beat Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
They're still doing like some big things even with guys out. So it's cool to see,
No.
like, guys getting their chances, and they're actually stepping up. So at the end of the season, this is a good thing about this. You're definitely going to see some guys get some contracts out of this. Some guys that
Yes.
wouldn't have got the shine.
Oh no, it's inevitable. Like you said, you just last night against the Bulls, Brooklyn versus Chicago, you had the big three with two rookies who
Right.
signed on a 10-day
Exactly.
contract starting. Not even just coming on like they
Sharp.
were starting.
You got Sharp out there, who's playing a great as a power forward for them. They got a lot of guys that are coming in and playing some really good minutes. And they're gonna need it because obviously on home games you don't really have a point guard and Kyrie playing, so they're gonna need
Right.
other guys to step up.
And obviously you're still getting regular injuries. Like Durant just went out and he's gonna be out for a few days. So like obviously
Right.
you still got normal NBA injuries to deal with on top of the COVID restrictions.
He's gonna take his off days though too. Like he likes to in a regular season. For him, it's like if they're doing decent, like in the rankings right now, they're top four. Obviously, they're top two. But
Right.
if they're like top four, I'm sure he wants to take his rest days. Honestly.
No, for sure. And obviously they're a team that can I feel like with the star power they have, they know that they can rest a few people. They honestly wasn't even worried about Kyrie playing until they really got hit with COVID and injuries and it's
A
like,
lot
all
of
right,
their
we
point
need you to
guards
come in
got hurt.
halfway.
Yep.
We'll get you to away games.
Yeah.
But not every
Hurt,
team
and they got
exactly.
hit with COVID with obviously Joe Harris was out for a while as well. So and they got really hit bad on their point guard position, and they needed a guy to step up.
No. And that's what, obviously made them change their mind on the decision of using him part time or not using him all. And they have been able to somehow make it work. But not all the teams have been, like you said, the Lakers, obviously signing Russell Westbrook over the season, LeBron, Anthony Davis, like Carmelo coming off the bench, like this is Dwight Howard. This is supposed to be a team that was pretty much supposed to be a championship contender. And
Yeah.
right now, the Lakers are one of the teams that aren't looking too good. Literally at eighth in the West at 21-21. They have a lot of problems.
Yeah,
And
losing to
right
some bad
now,
teams too.
no, it's just they're not looking good. No cohesiveness. Obviously, like you have the individual people putting up the stats you think they would, but obviously they're not winning games, and it's not just coming together. When it's just not coming together to win the games itself.
Right.
And a lot of people are honestly putting that on the shoulders of newly acquired Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, to be honest, if you look at my opinion, I think that if you look at the last 10 games, at least 10, 15 games, he's been stepping it up for them. I know like he's been out like a few games, only like 2 or 3 of those, but the last 15 games that he's played pretty great. Honestly, his turnovers went way down from the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season, he was averaging about 6 turnovers, and now he's at like 2 turnovers a game, which is a really big difference for him. The guy that honestly I'm looking at that is really just disappointed me this whole season is Anthony Davis. Like I thought he would have stepped up in his role. He was supposed to be obviously they moved him to a center. They had LeBron go to a power forward, and Anthony Davis just didn't step up at all this season. Defensively, he's played a lot better than he's played offensively, but he's just been in and out of the lineup, injured right now, and now LeBron had to like start a few games at center. And honestly, LeBron was playing a better center than Anthony Davis was. So like, it's just disappointing to see that from AD.
No, AD honestly, like I've been complaining about him for years. He don't want to bang down low with the big men. He seems to just take his action too far out for my liking. Obviously he has the injuries down low and the extremities to if you understand why he don't want to bang down there. But at the end of the day, like they're not going to be successful or as successful as they can unless he does what he's supposed to do. So that's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
LeBron getting a little bit older is definitely a problem, and obviously Russell Westbrook just not really seeming to get any team chemistry going is obviously a problem. So they're
That's
sitting
true.
not
That's true.
even middle of the pack, almost damn near bottom of the pack.
That's true.
At 21-21, that's not even impressive for that lineup with those stars. 21-21 is honestly a lot worse than the average team being 21-21.
True, especially for them. I mean, obviously they got
Mm-hmm.
5 guys that are gonna be going to the Hall of Fame at the end of
Exactly.
it. You know, Carmelo, obviously D Howard, LeBron, AD, and
Right.
Russ are all going to the Hall of Fame at the end of it. But Carmelo is definitely not playing to his potential. Or I mean, I don't know his potential, but he's definitely not playing as many minutes as he could be, and he's not playing when he is playing those minutes. He's not shooting as well as he could be. He's got like shooting career lows right now. The one thing that I will say is a plus for the Lakers is Malik Monk. He's showing out right now. The last I would say 10, 15 games he's been playing great, averaging like 20 points a game. You know, really showing out there, and obviously he's not really gonna be their top scorer once they get all 3 Russ, AD, and LeBron on the court all together.
Right.
But you know, it's good to see that they have a guy like that can score because honestly, if the Lakers can get hot and move up in the rankings to a top 6, maybe even 5 finish, they're definitely going to be tough in the West either way. It's just they haven't been cohesive all year, and you can't trust them. But it just depends on right now, the matchups that they play. Obviously, they're losing the bad teams like Sacramento, and even when they play the good teams, they can't seem to catch a break. And even though the games are close, against Memphis game that happened in late December of 2021, it was a good game, but obviously it came down to the wire, and they just can't. The last 5 minutes of the game, they don't have scorers like they need. The only ones that are really scoring is LeBron and Malik Monk, and you need other guys there.
And that's the thing. For me, it comes down to because in the fourth quarter, and I've been saying this for honestly since his OKC days, don't put the ball in Russell Westbrook's hand and expect him to shoot when it comes down to when he needs to shoot. So it's funny because we talked about Carmelo, we talked about LeBron, we talked about AD, but what I really want to talk about, and it seems like I can already see where you're going with this, based off what we just had the conversation a few minutes, is I want to know, is the Russell Westbrook experiment working in LA? Now, what do you say? Because like you said, you just said obviously AD is not looking like he's supposed to with the injuries and obviously not playing the way he's supposed to. You just said Carmelo's not shooting like he's supposed to. Obviously, I mean, I'll be honest, LeBron's still doing LeBron things, but this year he's starting to show a little bit.
Yeah,
and he's obviously, like I said, the age is the injuries, the taking days off, that's part of the age. So what is your opinion on Russell Westbrook specifically? Like a lot of people, like I said, are pinning this on his shoulders because at the end of the day, say what you want, but LeBron and AD want to ring. So now,
but I mean,
they want to ring. Hey,
it was a little Disney
it's a ring. Hey, it's a ring. You know how it is. I know.
Perspective, but come on now,
it's a ring. A lot of people weren't happy with it, but hey, it is what it is.
It is what they want it. They want it fair and square. Obviously, most teams had the same chance to win it there, so I can't hate on them. But I'm just
a lot of teams that weren't supposed to play better in the bubble did. So it was a different type of game.
They definitely.
Oh yeah, but at the end of the day, how many teams? Come on, Toronto caught a break against the Warriors the year before that. You know what I'm saying? Last year, the Suns caught a break all the way to the finals. Like every year, that injuries are part of the game.
True.
So what's your
good in the sense? Kawhi did have that Game 7 against Philly where he had to take him out of the. He had to make it from the corner. So you got to have some luck too.
And that was 3 bounces away from not even. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so fickle what happens in the playoffs. So a ring's a ring. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if we got to the finals and we both had to start 10-day players each. Whoever wins won that ring. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if we play G League versus G League. Like I won that ring. So that's how I feel about it. But obviously at the end of the day, they won a ring.
They want to ring.
What do you feel about Westbrook? How do you feel he's the cohesiveness? How do you think now that's going with the Lakers? Do you think that experiment's working?
So I mean, if you would have asked me this like literally a month ago, like Christmas time, if you would have asked me this or around then, I probably would have answered that no, it's not. I would have said that he's playing terrible, 20 turnovers, not cohesive. But I mean, what I'm looking at right now, and I'm honestly really surprised that people like I'm already seeing like articles. Should we trade Russell Westbrook? Is it too early to trade him before the trade deadline? Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons trade, which I can't really entertain that because I don't think that Daryl Morey would want to do something like that in Philly, or I don't think that. I mean, I think LeBron would love that as far as LA, but I don't
Yeah.
think it would work as far as a trade. But anyways, for me, honestly, now answering the question, I do think that the the experiment is still in question. It's not done yet for me. I don't think that you can fully answer this question. I do think that it's looking better than it was a month ago for sure. I think it's looking way better. Like
Oh yeah.
before, he was averaging 16, 7, and 6. This was the first 20 games of the season, which was pretty bad with like 6 turnovers a game, over 6 turnovers. Now he's averaging 18.7, 18. I'm sorry, 8 and 8. This for the season. So obviously his averages went up a lot. The last 25 games, he's averaged over 22 points a game. So he's definitely stepped it up. His PER is over 11, which is great. He's in the upper echelon of players, which is top 50 right now. Surprising because a guy like LeBron is actually a lot below that, and a guy like AD is really below that at like 3 PER. Obviously, the Lakers as a team are not playing well. I will say that a lot of them are getting ticky-tack injuries. Obviously, LeBron's out a few games with stuff. AD's been out, so they haven't been 100% together. Obviously, Carmelo's had a few issues as well, being out. But I think that you can't really answer this question until the end of the season because I do think that you need to at least see them play all together for at least 20 to 25 games all together. Like right now, they've played together, I think, a total of like 16 games, all three of them together. So that's terrible. If you get at least 25, maybe 30 games of them all playing together, then I can answer that question. Right now, I do think he's playing a lot better. The guy that, like I said, is disappointing is really AD to me. But as of right now, my answer to this question is a wait and see approach. But I think that it's looking more positive than negative. What about you, though?
So I got the opposite. I'll be honest.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
it's not because like you're right. They got time to turn it around, and it's not like he's declining. At the end of the day, he's giving you what Westbrook's supposed to give you. You know,
Sure.
but that also comes with the turnovers, and that's my thing. He's been a stat sheet filler, but it don't always translate to winning. And honestly, they didn't need stat fillers in LA. They needed someone who can push them to make sure they win. Push them on the other edge. You can't count on him when it counts. You can't depend on him as an off-ball shooter. He I understand he's probably gotten lower turnovers, but at the end of the day,
Right.
he averages 4 to 5 a game,
He's
and
always an
right now
average
he's at
that.
4.4, and that's the
Yeah.
whole point. He's always done that.
He's always
So
an
my
average.
my whole reason why I say no, because the Lakers keep saying that they expect Russell to be Russell, and they never expected him to change. But it's
Mm.
like, why did y'all bring him in the first place? I'm not a basketball expert, but from the get go, I'm like, that's just not gonna work with AD and LeBron.
I
I
agree.
just didn't
That's what I
understand
said
why
too.
they did that in the first place. So
Hmm.
yes, they got time. Yes, it's getting a little better, and yes, they can figure it out. But to me, it's not working because it never should have happened to begin with. You say you want to give them a few games, but I'll be honest. Uh, the Brooklyn Nets victory got less than that many games, and everyone already knows that they're already going to be top in the East. And
That's
that's
for
because
sure.
you got
That's
three
for sure.
superstars that play. You know what I'm saying? You know what they about to give you.
I agree,
You
but
got
the East.
LeBron,
A lot of people
AD,
say
and
that the East is a little bit easier this year than the West. I mean, if you look at it as a whole, especially with all the injuries and all the COVID things that are going on, the East has gotten hit a lot more than the West this season.
so here's my thing.
Especially with
If the Brooklyn Nets big three were dealing with a lot of injuries and stuff like that, and they weren't playing a lot of games, and Brooklyn was eighth, like the Lakers, everyone would still be like, if those big three were healthy, they would be number one. No one's thinking that right now about the Lakers. They're not saying, "Oh, it's just injuries." And if those big
Oh,
three
I
are
totally
healthy
agree with
and
you. I
played the
totally
whole
agree.
season,
You're right.
no one's saying they're going to be number one.
You're
They
right
still
about
worried
that.
about where they're going to be
You're right about
because,
that.
and that's what I'm saying. So I understand you feel like you need the games, but like you should feel like, or at least I feel like you should feel like those big three on the Lakers should be the number one seed in the
But
West,
here's the thing for me. I mean,
but they're not.
just because like the early or the preseason predictions had them obviously going to the finals doesn't mean that because I kind of like predicted that something like this was gonna happen. I always know that the first year when you get like a big three together, it always takes a little bit of time. Even you saw them when
Oh yeah.
LeBron went to Miami the first year. It
Mm-hmm.
took him at least like 60 games for them to actually like start playing good. That first year they didn't really have a they weren't first in the East. I think they were second overall. And obviously they didn't win the championship that year. The rest of the season they were obviously dominating, but the first year always takes time. Whenever like superstars all come together, it takes them a little bit just to be cohesive. It's hard to like have a team like Golden State and then just add somebody like Kevin Durant and just instantly get even better. I guess but
Oh no,
it's really
I
tough
hear
to do
you. And
that.
Russell Westbrook is going, and the Lakers are going to get better than they were at the beginning of the season, but that still won't translate to a title because he was never the missing piece,
I
and
agree
that's why
that
the experiment
maybe.
isn't working because
Well, I agree this
he's not the
season.
right experiment.
I agree. This season it won't be a title, but do you think that possibly in the next, let's say, 3 years, if they keep him, let's just speculate, LeBron and him and AD stay together the next 3 seasons, do you expect him to get a title in the next 3 seasons?
At
With
this point, I don't know because the
say,
rest of the league is really getting more competitive, catching
yeah,
up, and if you
yeah.
don't win it this year, your window severely gets smaller.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially with
I
Kawhi
could see them
coming
making
back with
some more
PG
moves
in the
though.
West.
Yeah,
Porzingis finally getting over consistent injuries. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you got the big three in Brooklyn. Give
Brooklyn.
him one more year. You
The
know,
East is
like
getting better everywhere,
no,
obviously. Yeah,
yeah,
for
like
sure.
right now you
Jokic
got the
making
big
moves.
three in the Bulls making a big noise and they serious. Like
Memphis is looking good too, obviously in the
and
West.
like I said, LeBron's getting old. He can't do everything by himself. And if AD and Westbrook don't show us what they need to show us after this year, if they don't show us this year, I can't just sit here unless they add some real crucial pieces.
That's the thing. I think that's a
It depends on
possibility,
what they add. It
but I
depends
could
on what they add.
I could still see them staying together past this year, even if it
I
doesn't
mean,
end up in a championship. I don't necessarily see them moving from Russell Westbrook this year, at least.
no, I hear you. That seems to be
Because I mean,
the
if you're saying that that this experiment is not working, then you're saying they should just move on from him before, like, I mean, maybe not the trade deadline, but before this, after the season. You're saying,
hey, at this point, do what you want because they should never
yeah.
been to begin with. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
I agree with that point. I totally agree. Before, like, even when that trade happened, I said that it's not a good fit. But once he's there, you gotta, create an offense around what you got.
And
So
like you said, they're getting better and they will get better. And it might get competitive, but it won't be championship worthy.
I
And if
got
it's
you.
not championship worthy, what was the point to begin with? Okay, here's my thing. There's some stats that you have, like obviously you said 18, 8, and 8, not doing bad, but he's giving you 43%, which is his average basically. But
Yeah,
he's giving you damn near career lows and free throw percentage at 28, or three point
3 point.
percentage
Yeah,
at 28, and
yeah,
free throw percentage at 65.
yeah.
Like
Yep.
that plus the turnovers is basically you were already one of the most ineffective or inefficient people in the league, and you're basically getting worse with age. And my point is you need to understand, which I don't think he does. You're the third option now. You need to slow that shit down, figure something out. You're not supposed to go 1,000 miles an hour. You're the third option now, and I don't think he
I
understands how to do
agree.
that.
And honestly, like what I was saying is that they probably should have had him come in from the bench, but obviously that wasn't
And
going to happen. That's when they had Rondo.
that will be something
That would
that
be
can work, and
ideal.
I
But
promise you that's something that can work.
that's not something that he wants to do, and obviously that's not something that's going to happen. But honestly, what they need to do, they need to get Carmelo back. They need to get AD back because right now AD's been out for the last like at least 7 8 games. Once they get him
Mm-hmm.
back, I want to see them get a little more cohesive. If they're not going to put AD out there, honestly, they need to try to make a pickup at the trade deadline, pick up another center, move AD back to the power forward spot, and then just start that lineup with Malik Monk and go from there. I don't know. I don't know who a good center would be, honestly, but even a guy, honestly, I was thinking about like a guy like Miles Turner. If they could really make a push for him, uh, throw a pick in there with Kent Bazemore or something, because he's got a decent contract, and they need somebody like that, or even a guy like Hassan Whiteside. I could see him like getting a buyout, and
Him, yeah, but I don't see the Warriors, not the Warriors. I don't see
you would have to like throw in
the
some picks for Miles Turner, because
yeah, like I don't see
he's a
them
little
wanting to
younger.
even give him up.
They're
You know?
definitely he's on a trade block right now, so I bet there's a lot of people like talking about him possibly moving. I mean, a lot of people are talking even Atlanta possibly picking him up, just because they made this trade with New York this week for Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish moved to New York, and Atlanta picked up a first round pick, but they made a free roster slot, and a lot of people are saying that they're using that for another trade. And I
Yeah,
don't know. We'll
but
see what happens.
you think they need more big men?
I mean, honestly, they got shooting, so you know
Yeah, they
they
need
need
perimeter
defense.
D.
They need defense. I think
Yeah.
all around to be honest, because their defense is terrible. They're one of the worst defensive teams, Atlanta. Yeah.
No,
Well,
for
I mean,
sure.
there's not many centers right now, to be honest, but it's something that the Lakers need, because you can't just go out there with
Yeah.
Dwight Howard. I mean, you
No,
can't
they
put Dwight
need a
Howard out there.
center.
And yeah, I
But I
really
don't think
thought
other
that.
teams are willing to give him up.
No, I thought the AD was or Andrew Drummond AD. I thought he was gonna stay with the Lakers. I thought he was gonna go to LA, and that would have been a perfect fit for him if he would have been the LA center, and obviously had Anthony Davis at the power forward position. That would have been perfect, I thought. But obviously he went to Philadelphia for that backup role.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But
So yeah, so you say yeah that the Russell Westbrook experiment is working. I say no.
yeah,
We both definitely agree that it's gonna get better either way. But I guess we'll see how they play out at the end of the season. I don't think they won a championship out of it though, so we'll definitely have to see. Um,
I agree
but
with
I
you. I
would
don't think the championship is there.
no, not at all. But obviously, that's one of many hot topics. And honestly, not even the best topic that we get to talk about this week. The best part of this week, and we 941 days ago. Actually, not at this point. It's 900 about 45.
Yeah, it's been almost
945 days
3 years, man.
ago, your boy
Crazy.
Clay got his injury and hopped off the court. And about 3-4 days ago, he finally hopped back on for the first time after 941 days.
Hmm.
Clay is back, baby, and obviously that's been the topic of the week.
Yep.
17-point game in 20 minutes. On his comeback, he was shooting it, he was dunking it. He's cutting, he's playing defense, he's looking good. Like he's back, like he's really back. So the question I got, because basically the Warriors are already the best team in the NBA, basically. And now they
Yeah,
finally
say
get
that.
Clay back after doing what no one thought they would do this season. The question got to be: are the Warriors a serious contender, a championship title contender with Clay back with the
Hmm.
same roster they have, or do they need to make one trade? Maybe actually try to get one more player. Most people think a big man, a
Yeah.
legit big man.
So
Um, and like basically that's the two options. Like, are the Warriors a serious contender? Does Clay,
mm,
that one missing piece, make them championship favorites again, or do they need that one trade and that one piece from somewhere else? What do you
so
think?
I mean, so that is another team, the Warriors, that Miles Turner's name has been talked about,
That
and
would be
and
good.
possibly picking him up. But anyways, as far as this question, I mean, honestly, I kind of knew this was gonna happen from the Warriors from the get-go. I had them going to the Western Conference Finals. I thought that they were championship worthy even before Clay got to the court. I knew that he wasn't gonna come until honestly, I thought he was gonna come in a little bit later. I thought he was gonna come in until around All-Star break, but obviously he wants to make that push a little bit before so he can still get a little
Well, he
rest.
was good to come back though.
Yeah, yeah. They were saying, yeah. I mean, just around January or December, or Christmas time, he was supposed to be 100% ready, and then they gave him that extra week just until New Year's.
Mhm.
But Yeah, I mean, the first 2 games he's playing good. Obviously, not playing more than 20 minutes. They want to keep him, obviously in low minutes. Here's the thing. I think that the Warriors are a championship team because they have so much depth on their squad. Like, yeah, they're young. Their depth is very young, but the guys that they got are so athletic. They can like literally jump out the gym and they can shoot. And obviously, with 2 guys like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry in practice, I'm sure that they're teaching these guys, little tricks on how to, shoot the three and make their team a little bit better. Because I noticed that every time anybody plays with Steph Curry, their three always gets better. I mean, you could just look at Draymond Green.
Because their looks get better.
Yeah, the looks definitely get better. But I think that it's something about like the way that Steph tells guys, and Steph and Clay are so good at getting off pick and rolls. Like they're so good at that. And I think that they definitely teach other guys that in practice. Like, they teach them how to get off the pick, make sure you get that right angle just to, to set yourself up for the shot. So I definitely think that playing with Steph and Clay is a huge help for the young guys to learn from. Guys like Gary Payton, guys like Jonathan Kuminga, they're definitely gonna enjoy playing with these guys. Obviously, they have been so far too. You see what they've been doing so far. I just think that the sky's the limit for them. Even with Clay, it might take a little time for him to get his regular minutes. I don't think he's going to get it up until like possibly even the last 10 games of the season. So I think for the next like 30 games, he's going to be looking at around 25 minutes a game, and they're not going to push him until the playoffs start, just to get him set up for that playoff push. Honestly, it's going to be a tough playoffs this year because you got a lot of top teams in the West. Especially the second round in the Western Conference is going to be tough this year. That's all I know. But I do think that they're definitely championship caliber. I already had them going to Western Conference Finals, and that's definitely a chance to get to the championship. So I think that sky's the limit for them. I think that they could win a championship this year, just the way that they're already looking. Adding a guy like Clay, you're not going to see the full potential of it until close to the end of the season or the playoffs, just because they're not going to play him. They're not going to overplay him. But I think that it makes a difference, especially for the playoff push.
Oh no, for sure. I'll be honest. I definitely have to agree. And basically, I'll go over what you said. You know me, I love my stats. Right. And there's one missing piece that you forgot, and I'll let you know what it is at the end. And it's the one missing piece a lot of people keep forgetting. So obviously, Clay is back, and he's basically already joining what's the best team in the NBA, in most people's opinion. Curry, like you predicted, is having an MVP season. Yes, he's somewhat of a little slump recently, but at the end of the day, he's still averaging 26, 5, and 6. Right. So, like, he's still doing what you're supposed to do. Not to mention almost 1.5 steals. Like, he's always been slept on as a defender. And here's my thing, like, it's because for so many years he was always the worst defender on a team, but it wasn't because he was a bad defender. He was just the best option. That's what I'm saying. He was just the best option on who you want to attack. So people sleep on his defense because of his size, but like he's quick. Clearly he's quick. And he got decent hands. So he's averaging 1.4, 1.5 still. So obviously Curry's having an MVP season. Then you know me, I've always been a very, very big fan of Draymond. I understand he's not scoring, but that's not what he's supposed to do. Like he's giving you 8, and basically 8. Like those are all just a little like 7 point something for all of them. But he's basically giving you 8 across the board with a block a game. And obviously he's a big part on why Steph Curry is who he is, not as in like skill wise, but when it comes to that team, the way they run it and the way they have been allowed. Like people don't understand it's a privilege to run your offense through your perennial big man who's an all-star defender. It's a privilege that you're allowed to do that because it clears up the off-ball players on the court to do what they're supposed to do. The fact that Curry don't have to have the ball in his hand 24/7 running the offense is such a privilege that a lot of people take for granted.
That's true.
So you know I'm a big fan of Draymond, and honestly, at this point, I don't know if people are still considering him. But at the very least, a few weeks ago, two weeks ago, he was still in consideration of Defensive Player of the Year. I know a lot of people. He still is basically because the team itself have defense. But a lot of
But now
people,
he's
like I said, they
injured.
love to sleep
Yeah,
on him, and,
right. But
and he's been out.
now he's injured. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for him to come back in that race for sure.
Exactly.
But he
Yeah.
definitely made a
So
big impact. You're right.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And that's the thing. He's doing that on the league's best defense, basically.
That's you're right about that. Say that again. The number one defense where
The
when
number one
Golden
defense
State
in the league.
when Golden State is known for being an offensive team, they got the number one defense here.
And that's crazy too because they're basically what top 10, I think top 15 in points. So,
Right.
but that's the thing. Like honestly, what points everyone's averaging just a little over 100. Most people. So the difference between third and 14th is probably 2 points. You know what I mean?
Right.
But them being first in the opponent points is a big difference because when you're first in opponent's points, that means at the best, you're the one of very few teams that can barely score 100 when they play against you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They can be up there with everyone else, but that defense is crucial because teams can barely put up 100 against the Warriors.
And not only that, they defend the three the best. They defend the three at a 42% rate on opposing defenses. I'm sorry, offenses. So that's pretty crazy when most people are averaging around 45% as a team. You know, they're bringing teams down to like that 42%, which is at least like one pointer a game that you're not getting. That's 3 points already that you're not getting on them. So they're definitely making a difference with the way that they're playing defense.
And it's not something that a lot of people see coming because right now that 8.5 point differential is by far number one. And one thing I love to make point is the role players that stepped up that no one thought they were going to. Wiggins is finally doing what he's supposed to do on defense, playing that defense that he's supposed to play. He's basically supposed to be that 3-and-D player, not necessarily only skills shooting threes. He could put the ball on the floor, but they don't really want Wiggins to create that much. They want him to be able to use his length. So that's why I say 3-and-D. Finally, with his 18 points a game, second leading scorer, is finally coming into his own.
We'll be third soon, though, to Clay.
No, and
you know
that's gonna be a problem because Poole's averaging 17 points a game. So now Clay, like, come on, Clay's averaging 15 points a game in just a 2 games. So
that's like in 18 minutes that he's been like.
That's what I'm saying. He takes some shots. He's jacking. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, both of them averaging Poole and Wiggins 17 and 18. We're gonna see a drop on them, and we're gonna see that's gonna happen. But Poole's basically been Clay Jr. for the whole year, so now he's gonna have to take a step back. Wiggins gonna have to take a step back offensively, but they're not gonna want Clay to be that defensive superstar just yet. So they're gonna use Wiggins more when it comes to that aspect. At the end of the day, when you got lengthy defenders like Damian Lee, Otto Porter, and Gary Payton coming off the bench as your role players, all giving you 8 a game and playing good defense, like that's why you got the top team in the league. So all that added together, Clay came back. Of course, why wouldn't they be, championship contenders? Some people don't have him up there because of that big man. Looney's only giving you 6 and 6 at that big man position. A lot of people are worried, like in the West, you have to have a legit big man to contend.
Right.
A lot of people say they can make a trade. At this point, you're really not going to
trade. Missing. Obviously, they're missing James Wiseman right now because he's injured.
That's the point I was going to say you're missing. He's supposed to be back for playoffs.
They were talking about he's going to be back around that 75 game mark, but right before playoffs, hopefully. We'll see.
I'll be honest. Even if he don't come back, the Warriors will still make a push. I don't think they need to do anything.
Because they need to make a buyout.
You can't give up the farm to try to get one more player because that's what it's going to take.
I agree there.
Trade pieces are Poole, Payton, and Porter Jr. because you're not giving up Wiggins. You have no one else to trade, and you have to give up at least 2 or all 3 of them to get any decent big man. So
I don't think that's what you would have to do, though. I think there will be a few guys after the trade deadline. There will be a few guys available. I really do.
Veteran minimums and stuff.
Yeah, I think there will be a few available. I think that they could.
At that point, they'll be able to pick someone up.
I totally agree. Looking at the young guys, the way that they've been playing, I don't think you really want to make a move with one of these guys. I mean, Wiggins, Do you really want to make a move
They're the
now that you
reason
got
why you're
Clay
the
back?
best team. The role players are overplaying their role. You don't want to get rid of them.
Yeah, and
And they're
I
already
think
about to take a hit with Clay back. So you know what I'm saying? You
I
don't want to
think
get rid of your bench.
that's what I disagree with you there, though. I don't think they're going to take a hit. Here's my thing, because they're not the number one offense this year. But I think with Clay, they might actually move up to that spot. I think that Poole plays
I
a lot
mean, the
better at that
individual players will take a hit. Those two,
individual.
like
They
Wiggins
might,
and Poole, they're going to take a
like
hit when it comes to scoring. But they're
for
going to have
sure
to give a
Poole
lot
will.
more looks away to Clay now.
I agree with you that Poole will. I don't think Wiggins will as much because I think he's still going to get
Wiggins
a
ain't going to
shot.
keep up that 18 points a game.
I think for now he will because I'm telling you, Thompson is not going to get those minutes. He's not going to get those minutes
Yeah,
like those crazy minutes. Thompson is
yeah,
going to
you're
stay
right.
around
He's
that
going to have a
20,
better chance at
25.
keeping it than Poole, though.
Poole is going to take the hit, and especially because he
Hmm.
plays that shooting guard position. He starts that position. But I do think that it's going to be different for him playing off the bench. But I think he might have a good chance at the end of the year being a
It might
six man
even
of the
be
year.
better. That's what I'm saying. Six
I
man
think
of
he
the
might
year.
have a chance for
Yeah.
that six man. Like depends on if he gets around that 15-point mark a game. But honestly, this helps the Warriors move their offense stats a lot better. I think that the Clay right now, even though he's not going to be playing that many minutes, he's definitely going to help their offense. He's going to be averaging around that 45, 50 percent shooting. He's a automatic shot. He doesn't even have to dribble. He doesn't have to
Hmm.
move around. That's the one thing that when you were saying about Draymond, I was thinking in my head like that one game that Klay Thompson had where he only had like 12 dribbles. And a lot of those assists came from Draymond Green because he
Oh
was moving
yeah.
the ball around them, and Klay had 60 points and 12 dribbles, something like that. Just crazy.
No, he definitely figures it out. So it's pretty much clear that not only was the Warriors already on the top with Clay back and Clay looking like Clay, they're going to stay there. Most people got them winning the championship this year, especially in the West, where the top teams who are supposed to be the top teams ain't up there right now. So yeah, it's going to be competitive in the West, but that also means it's going to be up for grabs. And right now, the Lakers aren't looking good. The Clippers aren't looking good. The Mavs aren't looking good. No one can really trust the Grizzlies and Jazz because you don't really know what they're going to give you. So at this point,
You got to look at the Suns and Warriors as the
Warriors,
top teams. Yeah,
Warriors and Suns are top teams. Yeah. So definitely can't wait to see what they offer us for the rest of the season. I personally uh, love how much Clay meant to the NBA and love having him back. And it's good to see him, but definitely both the consensus that they're already a contender and they're really not that far away. They really don't need much. So I definitely agree with that too, especially with Wiseman coming back. I think they can make a big push if he does come back by the playoffs.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they definitely are gonna make a move. I don't know if it's necessarily gonna be a big like flashy trade or something like that. I think it might be like somebody's gonna get bought out and they're just gonna pick them up on a
Right.
free agent market, and it might be somebody that that is just like a stopgap just until Wiseman
Hmm.
gets there. You know.
And they don't need anyone big. They just need
Yeah.
someone big, like body wise. They don't need
Right.
anyone actually like a big name or anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely see
Yeah.
that happening. But no big trades. I think they keep the same roster and keep riding with it. I mean, if it's not broke, why are you gonna fix it?
I agree with that 100%, man. I mean,
Definitely.
especially because I think that Clay just makes everyone better.
No, for sure. And obviously he's gonna eventually get to that point where he's playing all-star defense as well. So definitely can't wait to see it. But the next topic I want to get into is one that seems it's not really a hot topic, but I personally have seen a lot of different opinions, some good, some bad, about the defending champions.
Hmm.
I want to take a few minutes and talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Basically, the Bucks won the championship last year. Basically, brought the same team back, and a lot of people honestly don't have them running it back. And
True. True.
besides the Nets, they didn't get lucky. They fought their way through. I mean, technically they
I
got
don't
lucky
know,
with
man. They got
Philly,
lucky,
but
man.
that's Philly's
Nah.
fault.
But what about Kevin Durant? If Kevin Durant had a 12-side
That's
shoes
what I said.
instead
Besides
of
the
a
Nets,
that's what I mean.
it's not like
They got
the
lucky.
Suns
They
who
got
got
lucky.
lucky throughout the whole playoffs.
Right.
Each round, they
I
fought their
agree.
way into the
Just the Nets. I
conference and
agree.
got to the seventh game, and that's when they got lucky by one shot. But at the end of the day, they fought to get
They
there
definitely fought. Yeah. They definitely
and then
fought.
fought to come back in the actual finals. So for me, like a lot of people don't even got them going back, aren't even giving them the respect that they deserve, and they're basically top four in the East with the same team. And at this point, everyone's been inconsistent. So I feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had because a lot of people just I understand how they already just writing them off. So it comes to the point of Giannis. What is he doing? What is he not doing? The man just won a championship. Is he hungry? And what I really want to ask is at 27 years old, how good can he get? He won a championship. He's already a physical freak in nature. He won Defensive Player of the Year, uh,
Two MVPs,
MVP, two MVPs. Like you know
back
what
to
I'm saying?
back.
Like what? Such a milestone. Obviously, I see him maybe
Finals
getting another ring
MVP.
or two. Finals MVP. I don't know if it's this year or I don't know if it's with the Bucks. But at the age of 27, his career isn't over. So realistically, how good can Giannis Antetokounmpo get? Like, I would love to have that conversation and just hear what you think about that.
So are you asking me like him as individually or him as like is how good can his team be like as far as championships and individually? Like, I mean, because honestly, like individually, like I do
We'll
think
start with
that
individually, and I feel like it'll gear towards
I
the
mean
Bucks in general.
individually, I think you're seeing how good he can get. He's won back-to-back championships. He's won a Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Only person to do that was Jordan. Obviously, like this man is like I gotta say, he's probably like no like threat to LeBron as far as like a face in NBA, but I would say right now he's the best in the NBA as far as a face like a new face for the league. He's a walking double double. I mean, obviously if you look at his stats, he's in his prime right now. So I definitely think that
Mm-hmm.
individually he could easily get another MVP easily. And the only way that I think he doesn't is if there's like some sort of the writers and the guys that vote they got tired of it and they don't want to vote for him because I think stats wise, I mean, you look at his stats like individually he's amazing. He's averaging 28 points, 11
Mm-hmm.
rebounds, 11.4 and 6 assists this year, and he's getting like easily like 1.7 blocks a game, which is pretty great. I mean, you got to give it
Mm-hmm.
defensively. He's playing good too. So honestly, individually, I think he could definitely get another MVP in his career. That's what I say individually. Now with his team, I do think that he is due for another title. I think that in the beginning of the season, I'm with you. Like a lot of teams definitely didn't give him a lot of credit. Definitely were writing him off, and to me, the only reason they were writing them off is because they were really like looking at Brooklyn as the top dog in the NBA now, and seeing what happened last year as well as seeing Kevin Durant pretty much he almost had it. I mean, you got to give it to him almost only counts on horseshoes, but if he was like literally one little step back, they would have been the ones that are in there. So you just never know what happens in this NBA. I do think
Mm-hmm.
that in the beginning of the season, a lot of people were definitely looking at the Brooklyn Nets in the East as the top dog, so they weren't paying attention to anybody else really in the East. Um, but now, I mean, you definitely got to look at Milwaukee. They made some great moves in the offseason. One great move they made was great bringing in Grayson Allen. He's a great
Mm-hmm.
defender for them, playing great on the three. Uh, the one thing that they're missing right now, Brook Lopez has been out for them, so they're missing a little bit of that interior defense, and obviously Brook Lopez moving in outside and shooting threes. But I think that they're a good enough team to easily get to the Eastern Conference Finals from there. If they play a team like the Nets, for me, that matchup still would go towards the Nets side. But individually, collectively, if I'm looking at his career, I do think that he's gonna win another championship. But honestly, I think he's probably only gonna win one more. What about you? What do you
No.
got? What do you got for him?
So I'll go into obviously the championships and what I think can or should happen. But definitely when it comes to individual skill, uh, the, the man is younger than me. Like he's literally younger than me and in his physical prime, and he's probably the most excuse me, the most
Flash.
interesting excuse me, the
Yeah.
most interesting physical specimen on the face
What
of this planet.
you allergic to talking good about my man or something? Talking good about Giannis?
Right, right. Like the way that man could just take two steps from free throw from the three point line.
Line, not free throw.
3-point line. From the 3-point line and dunk on somebody is honestly like it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And so the only weakness in his game, like you said, 28, 11, 6, shooting over 50%, shooting 28 to 30 from 3, and 60 to 70 at free throw. So the only weakness in his game really is the 3-point and the free throw.
Free throws, yeah, a lot of people talk about that. Yep.
Exactly. And a lot of people, honestly, they like what he's doing this year when it comes to different types of looks. You can tell he's trying to change his game and really implement the outside game. Now, 2 years ago, he was throwing up 1.5 threes or throwing up 4.7 threes and making 1.5 for 30%. That was his career high. Yep. This year, he's doing a 1.1 for 3.9 at a 28%. So, yeah, 2% is a decent amount, especially when you're going from 38 or 30 to 28. Right. But at the end of the day, his career average is 28. So, like, for me, he's doing basically he's doing what he's supposed to do this year. I don't want to say he's reached his ceiling because there's really not much he can improve on. He's already so amazing at so many things. But I do think he is trying to work on his free throw and he is trying to work on his 3-point game. And just for the fact that he's just so hungry after he won his first ring, and obviously 2 MVPs, DPOY, like it lets you know that I still think he got a little bit like, yeah, this is his prime, but I still think give it 1 or 2 more years. Like I can't imagine what he's looking like at the age of 30. Simple as that. Like in 3 years, and I say 3 because of COVID, it might give him a little bit, they got to take time off now and stuff, rest their bodies and stuff like that. But I definitely say the next 2-3 years, like Giannis is, I'm not going to say obviously a whole new player, but I think he understands where his weaknesses are. And I like him. Every year he seems like he's one of those players that every year he's trying to improve. And I believe him when he says that even though he won a ring, he's still just as hungry as ever. Yeah. I believe him when he says that. So I definitely think he does get a little better. Like I said, it's not like the stats aren't going to jump out at you because he's already so good, but he definitely does make some improvements in the areas that he feels like he needs to improve, for sure.
Will he win another MVP in his future?
Yes, so now, yes, I almost forgot about that. Of course, so I think he has one more chance at a ring with Milwaukee in the next 2 years. And I think when his contract's up, he has to go. It's so hard to bring people in. Gonna go. I think he don't want to.
No, I don't think he wants to go.
But I think if he wants to go, I don't necessarily build a super team, but go to a higher market team. That like I said, it's hard to bring people to Milwaukee.
He had a chance to go to LA though. He had a chance to go to LA.
That's what I'm saying. He don't want to go build a super team. Like go somewhere where you are the star, but you at least have better marketability, better awareness. People are just more games on national TV. More of a spotlight and more chance of getting good players besides Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. Because you can't build a dynasty with them niggas.
Not with him, but I agree with you. But the way that Milwaukee has treated my man,
he's not leaving. He loves
it. Like first of all, obviously they have his brother obviously on the team as well, and my man loves it there as well. Like if you see interviews with both of them, they love it there. Like they're not guys that really like to go out and party like that. Plus. He's not the type to really want to do crazy interviews like that much. He does his thing on the court. Obviously, he definitely has like a few. He's got a shoe contract. He's got a few, advertisement deals that he has, but he's not like a loud player. You could definitely see that he's just trying to do his work and kind of be in that smaller market. I definitely see him staying in a place like Milwaukee. His most of his career, he could be a guy kind of like. He looks at guys like Nowitzki in Dallas, and he definitely respects them. Or guys like Tim Duncan. I could see him being that type of player. Once in 30 years type player that actually stays on their squad for a long time, and the team actually keeps them.
No, I definitely agree with you 100%. I think he wants to stay in Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's gonna do everything they can to keep him. But I think his chances, and like I said, it's not to build a super team. But I think if he go to a more marketable team, will pretty much like more of a chance to build then he has a better chance of winning a few more rings.
For sure.
But at the end of the
For
day,
sure.
like most players are going to only average like 1 to 3 rings. At the end of the day,
I mean,
we'll
it's hard
see.
to get a
It's not
ring,
even
man.
like
And
most
even
players average
yeah,
1 to 3 rings, but the players who repeat average only between 2 to 3, basically. Like 3 is really reaching. Most players who win more than 1 ring only get 2.
man, not only
So
that, look at a guy like Chris Paul who's been around the league at like 4 different teams. Like, you don't think
competitive
if he
team.
wants a ring? Like he's been to the playoffs, and I mean he's moved around. Like you don't think he definitely wants a ring? So it doesn't always go right when you move around. Like I think a guy like Giannis, if he were to stay and even like finish out his career and see it through, I definitely think that Milwaukee could easily get one more ring. Possibly two if they make the right type of moves. Obviously, I do agree with
Mhm.
you that a guy like Middleton might not be the guy anymore, but especially because he's getting a little bit older as well. But I do think that if they make the right
I'm
move,
gonna swear he's general like Dollar General Coley, bro. This nigga's just like his game is just changing so much to where it's becoming more individual ball. Let me take contested mid range every time. Like I don't like it. Like, he can't be the second guy anymore.
he doesn't like to take as many threes either. Yeah, I definitely don't think that. I mean, obviously, they need him to still be the second guy because
Of
as of
course,
right
that's the
now,
best option.
is the best option. But I mean, they definitely are. Hopefully, once they get back Brook Lopez, you're gonna see them obviously. They're still like decent in the rankings, but you're gonna see them actually like probably take that one or two spot. I do believe that by the end of the season they will be up there with Brooklyn. The East is very tight right now, so it's really tough to like see which one of these teams is really going to move up the pack. Obviously, everyone's talking about Brooklyn's going to move up there and take that number one spot by the end of the season. But right now, with Kyrie Irving playing half the games and them getting so many guys on injuries and on COVID protocol, you can never really
Mm-hmm.
trust it. Chicago's playing amazing, but I just think that by the end of the season, the way Milwaukee's playing with all their guys coming back, I think that Milwaukee will be up there with Brooklyn.
I mean, besides the
For
Heat,
this year.
which
For
their
this year.
improvements with Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker were definitely improvements and needed.
For
But
sure.
besides the Heat, obviously the Bulls, the Nets, the Heat, and the Bucks are at top 4. So
True,
I
but Kyle's gonna
definitely
be out for a
will
long
see them
time too.
changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so I definitely see them interchanging spots in the next few weeks or next few months, actually. So I'll definitely see that. Um, so either way,
So we both got him
I
winning the
definitely
ring
think
at least. At
at
least
least
win
what I
the
was about to
ring.
say. At least we
At
both
least the
think he
ring.
got one more ring in him,
So I think
and
you
that
got him winning the
definitely,
MVP though.
yeah. I
Okay, yeah.
think he's
You,
having an MVP season right now. If you want to be honest,
I agree with you. I just think
a
I
lot of
don't think
people
that
just
they would give
they
it to him
get
right
used
now.
to him doing what he's supposed to do, so they don't appreciate it. But at the end of the day, LeBron should have won way more MVPs with the numbers he's been putting up his whole career, and Giannis is doing the
I
same thing
agree.
where he's
I
putting up
totally
those
agree.
type of
I think
numbers so consistently. They don't care.
they're tired of it, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that they're more surprised by a team like Golden State being so good. Obviously Curry coming in hot,
It's a
so the more
popularity contest.
surprising. Well, I mean, the more surprising thing was Golden State in the beginning. Obviously, now they're gonna have another guy there, so they're pretty much almost at full strength. And Giannis, we'll see what happens with them by the end of the season. Like I said, I do think that they will be one of the top East teams. So if he has these stats with them being one of the East teams
Mm-hmm.
at the top,
Yeah, he'll
then I think he
definitely. Yeah,
has a
possible.
chance for him being at least one or two in the conversation for MVP this year.
I definitely do see it, and like you said, like he's basically the like at the end of the day, like yeah, LeBron does what he does. I still consider KD just top notch because like he's just such a lethal scorer. But clearly Giannis is top 3 in the league basically. And it's not even in a specific order because that order is going to change depending on who you talk to, and I wouldn't be mad at anyone for that. You could put LeBron first, you could put KD first, or you could put Giannis, depending on what the question is and what you're looking for. But
True.
those three are
Skill set you're
definitely
looking
top
for, yeah.
3, and
Yep.
he's basically put himself in that conversation now because for almost a decade it was only KD and LeBron, and like Paul George was the closest one to being in that conversation.
I
Then
mean,
he
yeah, I
got
guess you could
injured.
say Curry
Then
as
after
far as
that,
different skill
it
sets,
was
but
Curry. But even then, like no one tried to give him the respect he wanted either for a
nah,
long
because
time.
he's a little guy. People don't want to
Exactly.
put a little guy as the
Like a
best in the
little
league,
guy who's
but
shoot. They didn't
right,
like that. You know what I mean?
they
So
want to
right
put
now, the fact that it's just he's in the top 3, and so a lot of people he's top 1 or 2. Like it lets you know that, like I said, get him to 30. Wait till we see what he's showing. Then I think he'll have one more ring in him. by then, and one more MVP. I can
Man,
see that
listen,
next
if
year.
he gets that 3-pointer up to like 45%, that's gonna be scary. Like I don't even want to see a Giannis that gets a 3-pointer. Like if he starts
I'll
shooting
take
6
35 to
3-pointers,
37.
bro.
That's lethal.
If he starts shooting 6 and making 3, like, are you kidding me? Like he's gonna be the most tremendous player you've ever seen. Like
That's what
he
I'm
can
saying.
be
At
that
that
good,
point, you
but
gotta when
I
you
just
can
don't
shoot threes
believe.
like that, it's a different look, and that's why I
Yeah,
like him this year because he's trying to look for different looks, trying to
he is.
extend his game.
I just don't believe that you can get that much better. To me, like once you're already like this good, I don't think that you can get that much better. Like I mean, look at Curry. Like, can Curry get as much like better than he already is or better than he was? Like, it's tough to get better than that. So I just think he's going to be staying consistent to what he is right now.
100%. And that's what's the only thing left is him improving his three. I think this year you can see the different looks he's trying to get to let you know he's working on his three. So we'll definitely see. And obviously he's clearly working on his free throws. You know that for sure. So I definitely love what we both got for him. And like we both said, win a ring, win an MVP. He got it in him. The Bucks got it in them. We'll just see what has to happen, especially this year for sure. But that's a team, like you said, they just came back from the NBA championship, won the ring. So that's someone that you expected to be up in the top of the ranks, and you know what they were supposed to do. But not all teams are supposed to do that. So we just talked about how basically, besides the Warriors and the Suns, everyone else in the West is really no one knows what's going on. Mavs aren't playing like they're supposed to. Nuggets still have no identity. With Murray out, Clippers and Lakers. Granted, they got Kawhi out, but Clippers and Lakers are sitting at 7 and 8. So you got to wonder who hopped up in their spot. Basically, who took the mantle on basically doing what they're supposed to, while these top teams kind of fell off. And right now we have third place team behind the Warriors and behind the Sun, going down what is I think the 10-game win streak.
10-game win streak, last 10.
Not only just the hottest team in the league right now, I think at this point they also, whether they don't have the best record, they are number one in the power rankings just based on what they've been able to do for the last 2 to 3 weeks. And we're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant and company are playing absolutely amazing. And the question I want to ask, or the conversation I want to have about the Grizzlies, is actually the conversation you want to have because these are your boys right now.
So I mean,
Go
they've been playing pretty amazing. I mean, you got to give it to them. Like, honestly, this win streak that they've been having is great because not only because they're having this win streak against a lot of the teams in the West, but the teams in the West they're playing are towards the top, and they're beating guys like Dallas, guys like Utah, Golden State. Like they're beating some of the top teams and showing that with a team like they got, they can stay up with these boys. So my question was, do you think that they are a legitimate threat in the Western Conference and not just in the regular season? Because you're seeing that right now they're moving up in that ranking, but do you see them as a threat in the playoffs?
So I see them. I think they're competitive. They're good. They're serious. They'll definitely get to the playoffs. I mean, last year they were one game away and playing on the Warriors.
Against the Warriors, and they won. Remember, they beat Ja Morant, beat Steph Curry in that playing game, and they got in.
They got in, but they basically just got right back out.
Right.
So they were one game away from not making the playoffs basically last year, and this year they're looking a whole lot better. Morant's leading the pack with 25, basically 6 and 7, with 1.3 steals. That's what it is for me. Their defense. So I'll be honest, it's funny because I'm sitting here just going off, and I was about to go off. It's probably going to sound like my answer is yes, but like it actually isn't. So they're great. They're playoff contenders, but there's no way I see them getting to the champion. I don't see them getting past their conference. And I would say no, but I'm gonna let you know why I think they can.
So as far as when I say threat, I mean, do you think that they can get to at least the Western Conference? They have to be able to win at least 2 rounds. They got to be able to win 2 rounds. That means they're a threat. If they can
at that point, 100% yes. 29 and 14, third in the West. First in the Hearts. They have been playing Showtime basketball every single game. Like, I don't think they're. I feel like they got to show us a little more before we can think that they could win a ring. Because playing 7-game series is a lot different, But no, 100%, they can win some series and they can definitely go to the playoff. And it's gonna be a lot better than this year because last year they were forced to do next man up mentality. This year they're doing the same thing, but the only difference is these motherfuckers are stepping up. Like Desmond Bain
Bane
giving
is
you
playing great.
17, 4, and 2 with a steal. Amazing. Obviously, we all knew last year. Uh, basically Book stepped up as the second leading scorer. He basically let you know that he's a second man. So he's
Yeah.
giving you 18, 3, and 2. And all three of those people I just mentioned, Morant, Brooks, and Ben, are all giving you just over a steal a game. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So they're playing great defense.
Jaren
Jaren
Jackson
Jackson
set
Jr.
up for him. Whew.
giving you 2 blocks a game with 16 and 6. Clark is coming off the bench, giving you 9, 5 with a block, and then obviously Adams is injured recently, but he's still good. And then you got Mr. Sloth Anderson giving you 8 points with a steal a game. So right now they're playing absolutely great defense. Next man up mentality is working. That starting rotation is playing very well with each other. And when you got people like Anthony Melton, Zaire Williams, and Tyus Jones coming off
Tyus
the
Jones
bench,
playing good too.
you got
Yep.
a great bench and great role players. So yeah, 100%. I can see them winning a series or two in the league or in the playoffs. I definitely think they're competitive. So they are a threat in the West. 100%, yes, they are a threat in the West. I just don't see them going all the way to win the actual championship or even get into the finals. But I'll say yes, they are. Memphis Grizzlies are definitely a threat in the West. What about you?
Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you because a lot of the points you made, I mean, you pretty much said it right. They have a great bench. They have a lot of depth and a lot of scoring, and also their defense is really good. They're getting a lot of interior defense from Jaren Jackson. Obviously, when Steven Adams comes back, they're gonna get a lot more because he loves being down there. Obviously, they still got that 3-point shooting from Kyle Anderson, Dylan Brooks, and even Ja Morant is doing that this year, which is amazing. But I mean, we just gotta talk about Ja Morant for a second because he's playing incredible on this run. Like he had this one incredible block against the Lakers where he just went up and took it with 2 hands and grabbed it above where the square was on the cylinder, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, man, this man got up above that square, which is insane. With 2 hands blocked it. This man is playing on another level right now. Obviously, like he took a step up from last year, and he's just playing incredible on this run that they're having. I definitely think that they have the depth to stay with any team in the West. I'm actually kind of with you on this. I don't think that they got enough to win the championship this year. I think that they're missing a piece. I do think that they might need another shooter. It has to be like another guy they
agree
could
indeed.
trust. Yeah, another guy they could trust other than Kyle Anderson, because obviously you can't trust Tyus Jones to always come in there at the bench and try to hit three threes a game for you. Or obviously Brooks, he can hit them. He's known to hit his threes. His percentages are always pretty high, but you definitely need another shooter, I think, for them to really take that next step. But I think that as far as being a threat, I think that they could definitely be a threat. Playing if they play a team like the Lakers, or they play a team like the Clippers, even a team like Utah or Dallas or even Denver. I think that those teams they could definitely beat. So I think that they can easily make the Western Conference Finals this year, the way they've been playing. But I'm with you. I don't think that they got enough for the championship this year. But I think they're moving in the right direction. I love what they're definitely doing. All their young guys are playing great, and Ja Morant is playing out of this world.
They have been getting immensely better. So it's literally basically 2 years ago
Yep.
when they
Yep.
when they got Durant, like just
I mean,
30,
literally, they had the second
just
pick of
30
the draft.
years in the league, and he is just every year they are improving so much as a team, and he's basically been the head of all that. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people did not think he was going to be that good or that nice when they first got him.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you
that
definitely didn't think he was going to step up this fast for sure.
right,
You definitely saw like he definitely had that motor that Russell Westbrook had. You definitely didn't think that his shooting was going to be at the level that it is, because a lot of people, weren't seeing him as a type of shooter that he was. They saw him as more of a dunker and a playmaker, kind of like Russ, with the assists. But I mean, as far as the way he's been playing, you definitely got to look at him as a guy more like Chris Paul than a guy like Russell Westbrook, because he's giving up the basketball a lot, obviously getting a lot of assists. Plus, he's able to shoot the ball from the three. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think you can say that about a guy like Russ.
Right. No, there's definitely. I mean, for me, basically, he's pretty much D Rose, a lot more athletic. D Rose wasn't the worst shooter, but at this point, Morant's actually not bad at a shooter at all. Like the
Not at
man is
all.
shooting 30, was it 33%? No, that's
No,
the career. He's shooting at 37% or
37 this year. Yeah,
38% this year.
it's great.
So he's actually doing great. So he's
Hmm.
basically an athletic D Rose who can shoot. And that's great. And obviously at 6'3", he's a little bit bigger than D Rose, so he plays a little bit of a better defense.
Right.
But basically, 2 years into the league, my man is showing out. And that just pretty much brings us to our next question. I mean, we
Exactly.
always love to talk about young players, what they have to offer. And they always love to do the who you got when it comes to who you're picking to pretty much start your franchise. And you actually want to do this one
Right.
this week. Go
So I
ahead.
mean, so this question would have been a little bit different if things would have been different. I mean, obviously, John Moran got picked second, and the guy that got picked first was Zion Williams. So one
Uh-huh.
question we could have had was who would you take in a franchise, Zion Williamson or John Morant? But at this point in their career, I mean, I guess everyone would say John Morant. So that question is
Right.
out of that's pretty much out of there. So my question really that I was looking at, just because these guys are both young, they both came into the league and pretty much took the league by storm. You know, they didn't really need any time to really
And
adjust to the
same
league.
age.
And right now they're the same age, and honestly, I think that as far as point guards, they're definitely two of the best young point guards. You could probably add one or two more guys in there as young point guards, but these are two of the best. Who would you take in a franchise? Who would you start a franchise with? Is my question. John Morant or Luka Doncic? And Luka Doncic has been obviously he came up out of Croatia. He played in the Euro League there, started out at 15, and obviously John Morant played at Moore State, and he played a little bit of college, 3 years, and then he came to the league. And obviously they've been just stepping it up since they came into the league. So who would you take to start a franchise with?
So, as you said, John Morant was the second pick 2 years ago, with Zion as a first. But the year before that, the first pick was Luka Doncic. Uh, right now, I'm just reading off a few
Well,
stats.
Luka
Uh,
Luka was the fifth pick. He got traded for
well, I meant number one pick as in like skill set.
oh, skill set. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
like he was the number one pick that year. Everyone knew.
gotcha.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everyone knew what it was. And I'm pretty sure I know the Hawks. I don't know if they really fuck with trade, but I know they got to be really thinking like, God damn, did we really
I
do
think so
that?
too. Yeah, I
You
think
know
they're
what I
thinking that
mean?
too. Yeah.
So right now at this same age, yeah, Luca got one more year in the league. But right now, with the stats they have this year, it's Morant's gonna be the first one, Doncic's gonna be the second. So it's 24.9 and 24.7, pretty much the same. 5.7 to 8.3. Obviously, Luka's a triple double threat, so he's going to give you a few more rebounds. And 6.7 to 8.8. Luka's always been a better passer, anyways. Uh, Morant's shooting 49% basically, and Luka's 43. Luka's taking a few more shots, getting a few more shots up. Um, Morant's great 38% shooting basically to Doncic's 31 at three. And then at free throw,
Surprisingly,
they're
yeah.
both just over 70. But Morant's honestly at 76 and Doncic 71. So he's
Yeah.
having a better shooting year this year than Luka. The one thing I attribute that to is that Luka always seems to put at least probably 2 to 3 more shots up a game than Morant. But at the end of the day, you can't blame Morant for that. Like a lot of times, people always like Luka takes the most contested 3-point shots in the league, so it always skews his 3-point percentage. But I'm like, I don't care about that. That's his fault. He's gonna always get doubles. Look, there's plenty of times where I seen that motherfucker take a shot that he wasn't supposed to take, and there's plenty of times that he made it. You know what I mean? So their stats are what their stats are, based off their play, based off their team. It is what it is. So basically, besides Luka getting a little bit more rebounds and a little bit more assists, uh, Morant's going to give you a little bit more dynamic when it comes to how he scores, and obviously more explosiveness and a little bit better shooting. So it all depends on what you want. Career average, Morant got a little bit lower because this is second year, or it's his third year. So his career average, even though he's averaging 25 right now, his career average is only 20. Obviously, career average for rebounds is 4 plus 7. Now, I throw in career averages because if you're talking about signing a franchise, you want to see how they're doing overall their whole career. Obviously, both players are getting better, so most averages are increasing. But at this point, I feel like you get so much more on the table with Doncic. His only real weakness is his defense. He's a little bit too slow for some of these guards. At 6'7", he's a little not shifty enough. But at the end of the day, Morant's probably weakness over Doncic will be he gets less rebounds. Yeah, you probably say you don't need that out of a guard. But at the end of the day, like you got a guard that's 6'3", 175. He can't do nothing but guard point guards either. So he's not like it's for me. I choose Doncic over that because of the fact you got someone who can give you rebounds. You got someone who technically can guard 1 through 4 if you need him to. Like at the end of the day, I think Dallas coddles him when it comes to defense. He should be doing more, but they're trying to build a championship team to where all he has to do is worry about facilitating and scoring. So I think he has the build set, and you know what I'm saying. Comes if you're talking about starting a franchise. I'm starting a franchise. You're gonna play defense. You know what I mean. You're not gonna just sit there and only worry about one thing. But at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. So I will give Morant a little bit more defensive skills, even though Doncic's size is a little bit more better for what you want to accomplish on a basketball court.
Right.
Both of them rookie of the year.
Right.
Both of them all rookie. A first team. Luka's in the league for 3 years. This is his fourth. He's been an All-Star 2 of those 3 years. I would assume both of them will get All-Star nods this year.
I think so for sure.
I would definitely think Ja will get his first. So this will be his third year, and he'll get his first. But my thing is, it comes down to Morant barely got in the playoff game against Curry, lost the first series. We've seen Luka single-handedly either win series or make them competitive. Like, if I want to start a franchise, I already know what that boy can do, and he's only getting better. And right now, it might just be the 1 year, or it honestly might just be the different skill sets that he does offer. But like he's shown that he can put the team on his back. And everything we've seen from him and the Mavs in the last 2 years is just like he needs a little help, and the Mavs could have made some noise, already going farther than they should have went. So I'll choose Doncic just because of the triple-double threat. That's how I would prefer to start my franchise. You can build so much around him. Obviously, neither one of them are bad, but that's just coming to my personal preference. And like I said, the resume already speaks for itself, and he's already clearly top 15 in the league at 3 years in. So I got Doncic.
You made some amazing points right there. And
22.
And I love Don. They're both 22, and I love Doncic. I love the way he plays. I think he's an incredible player. Obviously, coming in for Europe, doing incredible things. He was playing against men over there at the age of 15, and he came in here in the NBA and started doing some incredible things himself. And honestly, I can't argue with a lot of the points that you made about Doncic, but I can only add some points because a lot of the points you made were definitely on the offensive side of the ball. And yeah, at the end you did add that, you hope that Doncic could, add that to his game, that defensive, and you think that he does have that in his game. It's just, he's probably not getting the looks that he should be, which I do agree. He does play the shooting guard position sometimes as well because he's a bigger point guard. So he does play a tougher position. Guys are scoring on him a lot more.
He should suffer.
He definitely suffers from it, but I do think that if you're looking at both of these guys, the better defender is for sure Ja Morant, and he's only in his third year. Right now, this year, he's already averaging 1.4 steals a game. So, my man, he's gotten a lot better at defense. Just from him, if you're looking at the progression on his career, Ja Morant, obviously rookie of the year, but his progression has been incredible. Started out with 17.8 points a game in his rookie year, went up to 19 last year, and then now he's at 25. Obviously the shooting percentage got better. Like last year, he was at 45%. Now he's at pretty much 49. The 3-point is what I love to see, is going from 30 to 38%. And obviously his free throw got better around 4 percentage points as well from last year. He's gotten better at pretty much every statistical category you can look at, even turnovers. He's playing more minutes. He's shooting more, and he actually got better at he got less turnovers this year, which is pretty incredible to see because usually it's the other way around on players. Even a guy like Doncic, if you look at his career averages, his turnovers gotten more as he gotten the ball a lot more in his hands. But a guy like Morant, it just looks like he's holding on to the ball a lot more when he's on offense. He's playing great defense, 1.3 steals, and pretty much a half a block game, which for a guy like him being 6'3", getting up, he's got a 40-inch vertical. He can dunk and he can play really, out of the gym defense. Honestly, like just looking at the progression on these guys, like yeah, they're both 22, but my man, like literally, he went up in points, he went up in assists, he went up in rebounds, steals, blocks. He went up, percentages went up already, and I don't think he's even close to his prime yet. Whereas a guy like Doncic, honestly, like he was averaging around like 28 points last year. Like you could see like his potential. You could see what it could be, which is I think he definitely is. He definitely is a threat to get that triple double. I don't think that he's ever going to be a guy like Russell Westbrook to get it. I think he's going to just be close enough.
I don't think anyone besides like Russell. Like a lot of people don't realize Russell Westbrook. It took a lot of big men that getting rebounds for years to allow this man to be. I don't think anyone's going to randomly normally average a triple double.
Right. I mean, you could definitely see a guy like LeBron possibly could, but not at this level in his career. I think he could have maybe went for it.
Doncic's the only one set up for it.
Doncic is.
I don't think he'll do it either. He'll be literally 1 or 2 under for the whole career.
That's what I think too. I think so too. But I mean, Doncic, like this year, he's just gotten worse in pretty much every statistical category. Whereas obviously Morant has gotten better. I mean, points has gotten worse. Percentage wise has gotten worse. I mean, even in obviously the defensive stats, his PER has gotten a lot worse. If you look at his defensive PER, it used to be 50, which put him at around the middle of the league last year. So right now he's at 45, which right now he's at 75th. Which you don't really want to see for a top guy. That's your guy that stays on the court around 34 minutes a game. Like I said, he does play against the shooting guard, so he's getting scored on more. So that it's a little tougher than. But my man Morant is playing against the point guards, and the point guards in the West, he's playing against obviously guys like Doncic too, and guys like Curry, and guys like CP3.
He guarding them though.
He is though. He's guarding guys like CP3 and Curry. And
they put in Zaire Williams on their best guards.
I mean, if you saw that game that Golden State had against Memphis, Curry was getting guarded by Morant, and he was having a tough time shooting that game. If you remember, Curry had at one point he was like 0 for 6, and then ended up like with 1 for 12 in the first half at one point. And that was, you're right, they did have Dylan Brooks on there as well as Morant guarding him. But I mean, Morant was definitely doing work, and his defense has been incredible. I think if you're looking at projection wise, I've seen what Doncic can be. I think that like the sky's the limit for a guy like Ja Morant. I think he can get a lot better. It's only his third year in the league, and I do agree with you that a guy like Doncic, we saw him take his team
a lot better
the series. I mean, a guy like Doncic, he's definitely a lot better 3-point shooter at this year for sure.
No, not Doncic. What do you think Ja Morant will get so much better at? I mean, at this point, he's averaging 25, 6, and 6. What do you see him doing better?
I definitely think the assist numbers are definitely going to move up a lot more. I think he's going to average at least around that 9, close to what Doncic is averaging. I think for Doncic as well, it took him a little bit to get his assist numbers up, to this level. Definitely like last year, he was around this, but his first year he was at 6, and it takes time, especially because a guy like Doncic, he came into the league not with like the worst team in the league. Like, yeah, they had the fifth pick, but right after Doncic came in, they had a guy like Porzingis come in already. And he pretty much started with a team that was pretty much ready to win now mode. A team like Memphis, they had to like build something. So you're kind of seeing a progression from him. And if they build something and they get some more guys around him, I think that his assist numbers are definitely going to get better and better. I think that his points are definitely going to get better if he even gets his 3-point shooting even closer to what a guy like, Clay or Steph can shoot at, then he's going to be an incredible player. I think he could easily be a type of guy that is in the MVP conversation. And I think that if that Memphis keeps playing like this year, he will be in the MVP conversation this year. But I think he's a guy that could win the MVP. I do agree that a guy like Doncic is too. The reason I'm just starting my franchise with a guy like Morant is because of defense. I'm just adding that in there. And I think that the defense is a little bit more of a key. I think that their potential is around the same, though. Around the same.
No, I definitely hear you. For me, though, I do think that the potential is more for Doncic because he has a skill set that's better suited to accomplish more. So if you're talking about potential, at the end of the day, Doncic is only 3 years into his career. Who's to say that he doesn't decide to buckle down and improve in defense? You know what I mean? So like,
You're right.
when it comes to what they both can provide, which is basically the potential, I would personally still choose Doncic. So like I said, it all comes down to what you're looking for. When you come to starting a franchise, I feel like everyone has very specific things. Like if I always say if I had to pick a specific player to start a franchise, I'll put LeBron James in the basketball lab, give him a better jump shot. And at that point, you could build almost anything around him.
Yeah,
So
and
that's a
LeBron James for
prototype player.
sure. But yeah, with a
Yeah,
shot,
so
with a
but
Curry
some
shot.
people will choose Curry. You know, some people choose some people like KD or scorers and defenders like like Kobe. Like, it all depends on what you're looking for. Because for me, when it comes to key piece to a franchise, I want that main person to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Right, and
And
that point guard needs to do a little
I
bit of
choose
everything. And
Doncic. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely see that from Doncic, and I definitely think that Ja could definitely be that guy with Memphis too. I
Hey,
think he has
his
the
assists are very underrated. The fact that he's averaged at least 6 to 7 assists his career, and I think 1 year he almost had like 8. Morant.
he
So
did
like
he did last
he
year, but
does pass the ball.
I
Like
think
his
that
career average is like 7.2. He passed the ball.
yeah, I think that it will get better too. I just think that and points. I do think that he will get better in points, but as far as like the defensive ratings right now, if you look at Doncic compared to Morant, I mean, Morant is
Yeah.
like way better right now in defensive ratings.
Oh yeah, especially like you said, the way his athleticism is to guard the guard position, I mean, he's set up perfectly for it. But
He's
one
got
thing for
long
me,
arms.
like I
Yeah.
said, if I was to have a team like Doncic, I'm not gonna expect Doncic to carry it in the offense, so I will expect him to do more
Yeah.
on defense. At that point, at 6'7" with his body size, my man could switch 1 through 4. I wouldn't say 1 through 5 just yet.
That's one
But
thing that
hey,
hurts
you in
Ja.
my
You're right.
franchise, like well, the man's
You're right.
175.
You're
He
right.
is literally like
That
I
4 inches
would say
that helps.
and not
You're
even
right.
that. The no length, like if he can switch on the big man, he's getting eaten up. Like at least I feel like with the body weight, if you can have like he has a potential to learn defense, and with that size,
True.
he can be effective if he chooses to.
I
Morant
agree with
can't
you there.
grow, and yeah, Morant can get bigger at 175, so he has to can get a little bit
So he
stronger.
could
But at that
he
point,
could definitely go
he's
in the
only
gym a little
guarding
bit.
1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? I think I can push Doncic to the 4 if the switch happens and still feel comfortable if he was a good defender. So that's why when it comes to, like at the end of the day, like I always said, if I had control over specific NBA players and Doncic in particular, he'll lose a few pounds, get a little bit quicker, a little bit shiftier. Same thing like Kobe. Kobe
You
wasn't
can't
always
learn
the
that
quickest, but
quickness
he had
always.
to lose.
You can't always learn quickness.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's what
Kobe
you
wasn't
learn.
quick, but he had to learn his angles and learn his
Yeah,
chippiness.
true.
But you can't be a little chunky doing that. And I'll be honest, I don't remember the last time I seen Doncic a picture of Doncic without a shirt, but he looks like he looks chunky. Like he looks like he got a belly. You know what I'm saying?
He
And
looks like
you
he enjoys
constantly
a hot
getting
dog.
cooked because you're too slow. So like first jump is 3 years in the league, and you haven't found a way to shed 5-10 pounds. You know what I mean? But
And my
that's why
man,
my whole thing
and
is
it's the
Dallas Connors.
opposite. And then it's the opposite with Ja Morant. My man looks like a
He's
stick
too
out there. He don't
skinny.
looks like he
Yeah.
only like
And
eating
that's what I'm saying. Like, my man's
nothing
about to get
else.
ran over. So
But you know
definitely, but
what?
that's the whole point. They're 22. They're still growing boys.
Exactly, right. I
More
don't think
young
they're.
men, they're still getting there. So we'll see. Especially with NBA players, I feel like they do grow a little bit late into their
I agree.
bodies.
It took Giannis until the 6th year to get the MVP. I mean, they're still in their 3rd and 4th year consecutively. I think this is it's a great conversation to have about both of them, though, because you really can't go wrong with either
Yeah.
franchise. Like you're
You
definitely
can't.
right. You're definitely right that it's just different skill sets, whatever you like, and I definitely think that it hurts Morant on the 4 inches that he's missing. 6'3" to 6'7".
Ain't
But
like
it's a great
35 pounds.
conversation, right? Either way, I think it's a great conversation. I just think that Morant is the he definitely needs a little more exciting. Getting those dunks, getting those crazy
Yeah, he
blocks.
definitely looks better. Like it's I mean, both of them got excitement to them. So like I said, it all comes to personal preference. I mean, that's why you love the NBA. Everyone comes with their own set of skills, their own body type. You know, they own what they bring to the table, and that's every day it makes it interesting.
It's a
So
great
that's definitely why I
conversation
love
though,
it.
for
So
sure, and can't go
obviously,
wrong with it.
yeah, definitely can't go wrong. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot more of these. Especially, I love to have them with the under 25 crew because at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
point,
yeah.
you really want to see what they have to offer, especially about the potential. But that's our catch up of the NBA in the last few weeks, last little over a month. Obviously, we're almost halfway in the season, pretty much chugging along. And it's been a good season so far. We just talked about why. So I figure we go over a couple games that we got coming up this weekend, and just
Yes,
what we
sir.
do. It's who you got. So let's just go over a couple
Your
game
prediction.
predictions and tell y'all who we got, or you tell us who you got. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the first game I want to talk about is Friday. Warriors versus Bulls. Obviously, what a lot of people could see as a finals matchup.
Yep.
Right now, the Suns technically are sitting at first, I think, because the Warriors just lost. But pretty much, if you had this conversation 2 days ago, one versus one, so definitely, a top-notch team. Um, what can we say? We just talked about Clay coming back, the Warriors being the best defensive team in the league. We didn't talk about this episode, but we have talked about the Bulls and how serious they are when it comes to the big three of the Marzak playing good ball. And truthfully, it's really a big four when you add Vucevic because like he really is up there. Obviously, like he's giving you 15, 11, and 4 with a
Yeah,
block.
11 rebounds. Yeah, yeah, crazy.
Exactly. So it's definitely the big four. But when it comes to this game, I'll be honest. I got the Bulls winning by 3-4 points, 110 to 106. Few
Wow.
reasons. Clay is back, yes, but that also means his presence equals growing pains.
Yeah.
Little bit of figuring things out. They went 1-1 the last two games. Obviously, they beat Cleveland, but the game after they lost. So right now, I feel like they're trying to figure things out. No Draymond Green or Kaminga. They're still definitely they're gonna miss that Draymond in this game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bulls are almost got all their pieces. Now, granted, they don't have Green or Caruso, so that's some perimeter defense lacking.
Mhm.
But I still think between Lonzo and DeMar, you got enough to do what you got to do. At the end of the day, I feel like they have the pleasure of treating Clay as an all-star right now and not a superstar.
Mm. Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, you got to pay attention to him, but I'm not going to completely ignore Curry because Clay is sitting there next to him like the old days. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still got to show me that he's going to, like, for me, if I'm playing Clay the next couple of games, he's going to have to show me something before I, just straight give it to him. And obviously I'm not saying I'm going to leave him open, but it does not, you still get to basically, with no Draymond too, just focus on Curry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone else, like, if Clay drops, basically, if you're telling me Clay has to drop 35 for y'all to win, I'll take that. At the end
Hmm.
of the day, you're going against DeMar with 26, 5, and 5, Zach with 25, 5, and 4, and Lonzo with 12, 5, and 5 in the steal. I'll take those odds. So that's why I got the Bulls winning by 4, 110, 106, because even with Curry doing what he's doing, Wiggins and Poole playing great, Clay back in the lineup, that Draymond Green missing it is very key. The Bulls are a great defensive team as well. And part of that, like missing no Wiseman and no Draymond, that defense does take a big hit. And obviously, you still got to find a way to get Clay going. So I think it's just a barely was barely a win by the Bulls.
Yeah.
That's what
Great
I got. What about
analysis
you?
on
Who you
that.
got?
Great analysis on that, and I totally agree with a lot of your points. I disagree with what you said that I mean Curry he has to win by like 30. I mean he has to get 30 to win. I mean he's been doing that pretty much all season without Clay, so it's not like he can't do it. He definitely can, but
Right.
I definitely agree with a lot of the points you made. I mean, especially they're missing Kaminga right now. Obviously, Looney's been out the whole season. They're just getting Clay back, so people having to move around. A guy like Gary Payton's going to have to step up because even though Clay Thompson is back, Klay Thompson's only going to be playing around 20 minutes. He's not going to be playing that much, like we've been stating earlier in this episode. So you're definitely going to still have to get minutes from Poole and other guys like Lee. They're definitely going to have to step it up for you. I just think that recently we saw what happened to Chicago. They played the Brooklyn Nets, and when the Brooklyn Nets were on full strength, they obliterated Chicago. So when we got a lot of shooting, especially 3-point shooting, you can beat a team like Chicago because they like to play a more defensive style of ball. And I do think that, the Warriors do have that type of team. I just, I'm with you. With a guy like Klay not at 100% still, him not getting 100% minutes. And obviously, you still have other issues. They're on a long road streak right now. They just recently lost to Milwaukee. I do think that they're going to have a good showing in the first half, but I do think it's going to be a close game like you. I actually got this really close. I think it's going to be a 1-point game. I think it's going to be a 106-105 game for the Bulls. They're going to come out on top, and I do think that DeMar DeRozan is going to have to play a big game. He's been stepping it up really good a lot this year, and Vucevic as well. Like you said, he's going to play big. I do think that they're going to out-rebound them a lot. Chicago's they're getting a lot of rebounds this year.
Oh yeah,
all over. Like they're one
like second on the team for Warriors for rebounds, and that's a shame. That's
a shame, and obviously a lot of that is because
Draymond behind Looney and Draymond.
Right. Yeah, a lot of that is because they got guys missing like Wiseman.
Exactly.
So of course that's gonna happen, but that is a shame when you have your 6'1", 6'2" guy being
point guard
third guy. Yeah. They're going to have a lot of trouble with guys like Vucevic, and obviously Lonzo's a big point guard getting rebounds. Obviously, DeRozan and Zach LaVine are still getting the rebounds over there too. So the Bulls are one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're top 3 right now in defensive rebounding. They were saying that a few days ago. I think they're still up there in the rankings as top 3. So that's one thing the Warriors are going to have to work on in this game, getting those second chance points. And if they do, then maybe they'll have a better of a shot at winning this. Because I think that if it's a closer game, then I think Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are going to take it at the end. I mean, you've seen what DeMar DeRozan has been doing this year. He already has he had 2 buzzer beaters in a row, already. So, I mean, if it gets close. And I don't really want to see DeMar DeRozan with the ball and him shooting in the last seconds because I'll believe that he can make it. And honestly, I definitely got this game close. So 1-point game, 106-105.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely safe to say we both are in full agreement. The Bulls are 100% serious this year. I mean, 27-12, first in the East. They're definitely not nothing to play with. They got a very good roster put together that they specifically and handpicked. And it seems to be working. And it's crazy because we've seen a lot of rosters get handpicked and just not work at all. So definitely love to see that the Bulls is working. And either way, that's going to be a competitive game. Unfortunately, they did get scraped by the Brooklyn Nets, which makes me think that DeRozan's still pissed about that, which means he's going to come out and show off against the Warriors. So
true.
Definitely see that happening. So
the Warriors had some tough games recently, though. They had to play against Memphis, against Milwaukee, they're playing against Chicago, and those are all road games that they had to be on the obviously on the a big.
While they're trying to fight through injuries and getting Klay back, so that's why.
So it's a tough stretch for them for sure. Tough stretch. Yeah.
So another game, which I think is going to be a tough game, which probably won't be as big as a blowout as everyone think it is. But same night, 14th Friday, basically, we got Mavs versus Grizzly.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, we just talked about 10-game win streak, how hot the Grizzlies been. But now also, with the plethora of injuries, don't sleep on the Mavs, actually. They've been hot as well. They actually were just on a win streak until they lost to the Mavs. Yeah. Into the Knicks.
Just lost, yeah.
He's lost to the Knicks. So, and that's with a lot of their teammates out. Like Porzingis and Doncic has barely played half the games this year, and half of those games were with each other. So they're really not. They're one of those teams that just can't seem to get no good chemistry now. If you go look up stats on the Mavs, all the top stats are going to be led by Brunson and Finney, just because they're the not only two, but because basically Luka and Porzingis have barely played enough games to actually
True.
register
To
to
register,
be
yeah.
for the stats. So right now they're not even like obviously Luka's giving you 24, 8, and 8, but like they're not even registering stat leaders for
I
that
think he's
team
only at 20
because they don't
games
have
right
enough
now.
games.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's
They
at
barely
20.
got 20, 24.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them got the same amount of games, but not with each other,
Not with each other, right?
Exactly. So that's just they're not able to actually get what they need to get. But even then, like I said, they're still finding ways to win. They're still basically where you expect them to be, middle of the pack in the West, with that situation. So I definitely think they make it competitive. But ultimately, like it's the Grizzlies, and we just spent a long time talking about what they've been doing recently. So definitely going to be to me a 110 to 106 win for the Grizzlies, a 4-point win. Right now, besides Brunson, like Brunson's the only consistent player on the Mavs. Like obviously, Luka's gonna be playing this game, but you still have no Willie Cauley-Stein, still have no six guys. And even without Adams and Brooks, Grizzlies have shown, especially in the last 10 games, like even without Adams and Brooks, they can still compete and beat top contending teams. So at that point, Desmond Bain and Jared Jackson Jr. will step up where they need to, and I pretty much think that Brunson and Finney are not enough to help. 'Cause at the end of the day, like Tim Hardaway Jr. is only giving you like 14, 4, and 2, and that's not what he's supposed to be doing. Like he's been one of the most underrated, but actually the most disappointing players for about 3 years now. Because he was supposed to be that third piece that really pushes Mavs over the edge,
He
and
was
he's
supposed to be a
basically been an
starter.
average
Yeah,
role player for
yeah.
3 years now. 14, 4, and 2. Like he's not doing anything, and he's basically one of the other three or one of the top three consistent players on that team, and he's still getting beat out in almost all the stats by Finney and Brunson.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? He's not doing anything that he's supposed to do, and he's actually getting a way better chance to do it this year.
Yeah.
So Luka, Brunson, and Finney aren't enough to beat the Grizzlies because I'm not even counting Tim Hardaway.
Mm.
So Morant and company, especially Desmond Bain, playing some great defense. I know he's going to try to lock up Luka. So I
Yep.
think them three pretty much hold it down, and I definitely think it's going to be a quick and easy, not quick and easy, but a somewhat like I think it's going to be a 4-point game, but like 4 and 5 point games can be misleading when it comes to the end of
Right.
the
Right.
game.
Right.
So I
Mhm.
still think that the Grizz just find a way to get ahead and stay ahead.
Right. Right. Right.
What
Yeah. I
about you?
mean,
Who you got?
I mean, we both talked about pretty much, the top players on each squad. That's why we pretty much had that conversation. Ja Morant versus
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic. They're obviously going to be playing, so it's interesting to see. Now we talked about them individually. Now with the team, who do you think is really going to take it? And you definitely made some really good points about Doncic and the other guys that aren't consistent on the team. Um, I definitely agree with you about Tim Hardaway Jr. I definitely think by this time, I think even before this time, he should have been the starting shooting guard of that team, and he should have been averaging around 20 points a game. You just never saw his shot get better. You saw him take some wild shots at times, and never been consistent. That was his problem always. He would shoot good for like a few games, and then he would have that slump. So it's always tough to see who's going to be that next guy because I do think that Dallas needs a third guy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
with having Porzingis in there and him not trusting that Porzingis can go out there a whole season, you can trust Porzingis to be out there maybe 50 games in a season. You're going to need a top third guy, and I don't think that Doncic has another guy that he can really call that other guy yet. Dory Finney-Smith is playing great this season, but I don't think he's that guy either. I mean, as far as Memphis, they're really hot right now. They're playing amazing, and we already talked about what Morant's showing you, but we actually talked about like a lot of the young guys that are on the squad too, and uh, we did talk about their defense, and their defense has been playing amazing. I think that
Mm-hmm.
one of the things in this game is going to be huge is their defense, especially playing the defense, the perimeter D. Are they going to be able to stop the three? And if they make sure that if the Mavs shoot like around 33 to 40% in that like lower echelon, then I think the Mavs have the Memphis has an easy chance of beating the Mavs. If the Mavs start
Mm-hmm.
shooting around like 40 to 45%, then it is going to be a lot tougher because the one thing that, like we said, Memphis doesn't really have as many 3-point shooters other than Brooks, Ja Morant, Kyle Anderson, so I do think that if it's a 3-point contest, then it's on a Mavs favor. But I do think that defensively, Memphis is just a lot better right now, and they will be able to
Oh
stop
yeah.
the Mavs. Without Porzingis, I think that I gotta have, even though Memphis also doesn't have Steven Adams in this game, I think that I gotta give
Right.
Memphis in this game. I think that you're gonna see Ja Morant definitely play lights out. He knows that this game is gonna be on TV as well, and people are gonna be watching. So I'm definitely gonna want to watch this game. Both guys are gonna go off, Doncic and Ja Morant, but I do think that
Mm-hmm.
Memphis is going to come out on top. 8-point game in this one. Actually, I got a
Mm.
little bit wider margin. I think it might stay a little bit closer towards the fourth quarter, but they'll pull away in the end of the fourth quarter, and it'll be a 116-108 game by Memphis.
Yeah, no, obviously Memphis is hot for a reason. And even though the Mavs have been making do with what they got, I mean, there's a reason why they're in the middle of the pack and Memphis is on top because Memphis has obviously been doing it just a little better. Because
Right.
at this point, every team in the league is getting hit with COVID, getting hit with injuries, and
True.
some teams are putting up and shutting up. Other teams are just letting it tear them apart.
Right.
So definitely got to give props to the not the Mavs, for the Grizzlies
Grizzly.
for doing what they're supposed to be doing, sitting up at third in the rankings. And honestly, we definitely see a lot more good things from them moving forward, starting with our Friday night game, especially going up against Luka Doncic. I don't know if he planned that on purpose, if he knew that game was coming up,
Yeah.
but that was
For
just
sure.
perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was perfect timing. So,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, damn,
I
yeah. That's why.
I didn't know
Because that's
that
gonna
at
be a
all.
big game on TV, and people will be
Yeah.
watching both of them. They're both the same age, So.
And basically, besides Zion, both of them are the top. Well, we'll go.
Well,
We'll
really,
even
I mean,
we'll say
you
rookie
can
of the
add,
years anyway. So we can take
we
away
can,
Zion. They both got rookie of the year in 2 years in
right?
a row. So
You
might as
can
well
add
compare.
Trey Young in there. You could add him
Trae
in there,
Young and
but
Zion are the only other two that I would say are out there for. They're gonna all four be the face of the NBA
you
in
can't really
literally
say that
7
about
years.
Zion yet because you don't know that about Zion.
We don't know. Yeah, we
You
don't
don't know
know.
that
I mean,
about
he has a skill set. I
like
mean,
I
hey,
said,
I thought I didn't think he was gonna be a bust, but I didn't think he was gonna be
not
able to
at
score
all.
that
Well, no, I
good.
didn't think he was gonna be injured this much. That was my thing. I didn't think he was gonna be injured that much. I thought. I mean, he had a good showing his first year, but he's been injured so much we don't know what he is yet.
No, that's a fact. So either way, got to be a competitive good game, Luka versus
Morant.
Durant. So definitely good. So that's the two games we're going over for Friday night, and obviously it's the weekend. So Saturday night is prime time. We got a lot of good games, and there's two specifically that I want to go over for that night. First one will be 76ers versus Heat. Basically both sitting at third and four. Actually, no. Yes, well, third and fifth because the Bucks are in fourth. So third and
Yep.
fifth in the East. Both are pretty evenly matched and been playing pretty solid. Uh, Heat picked up a couple different pieces, and a lot of people think that they're fit to make a good championship run. 76ers were pretty much already almost there, but without Ben, they kind of had to make some changes, and they're still hanging in there while they're trying
They
to
are.
fix things and work things out. So definitely both good teams and both very well matched. This one I think is where I choose the 1 point game at 102 to 101. And I can't tell you how many times I switched the winner because first off, if at the end of the day, if Jimmy's questionable,
Yep.
if Jimmy don't play, it's a different game. You know what? I'm gonna go with the 2 point game for the Heat, 103 to 101, because right now Philly, even though they're projected to win that game, I don't think people realize that they're down. Not counting Ben Simmons, but they're down two other point guards. One of them being Shake Milton. So
Shake
they
is
don't
out.
know
Yep.
who the hell is playing the one. I mean, Seth probably.
They're gonna have
But
Maxi's out. I mean, Maxi's in there, isn't
he's
he?
out as well.
He's out. Oh,
Maxi's out. Shake Milton's out. Well, Maxi's
yeah. So
questionable, but more than likely out. They have three point guards on that injury report that's not
that's
Ben
crazy.
Simmons.
They're probably gonna put Bassie in there and
That's what I'm saying. Like, so they
or
at
Kormaz.
that point, I don't even know who they have.
Kormaz. I forgot his first name.
That's not even the point guard.
Well, he's a shoot guard.
Right? He can't. No, he can't play point.
I mean,
I think their best chance is probably pushing Seth to the one and then putting one of those guards in as an off ball. That's the only chance they got.
Or Bassie. Yeah, Bassie's their only other point that could play. He played
And they need him for the backup. So they have no point guards, and obviously the Heat might not be with Jimmy. So at that point, it's pretty much Joel Embiid playing himself. So that's why it's like, all right, it's really hard to choose. But I'll still give the edge to the Heat because even though Tobias Harris or Joel's giving you 27, 11, and 4 and a stretch of 31-point games that's literally
Yes,
been
he
killing the
is.
league.
True.
Footwork is crazy. I'm a big fan of what that man do down low.
Mhm.
Legit big man. But they got a team. Like I said, they've been making it work. Tobias and Seth are giving you 18 and 16 respectively, and I'll be honest, no one seems to care because they never show up when they need to, and that's why no one seems to care.
Right.
Besides Embiid, no one on that Philly team can be trusted. And even if Tobias is giving you 18, 7, and 4, and Seth is giving you 16, 3, and 4, when it comes to count on it, no one can have the ball in their hand consistently but besides Embiid. So that's why, even without Jimmy, with a good year by Hero and a good year by Kyle Lowry, I think that the Heat still has a better team set up, which is why I think they'll pull out, maybe a 2-point win. And I honestly just decided that while we were talking about it, because like I said, I kept going back and forth, and even while I was talking about it, I was going back and forth in my mind. But with no point guard, even without Jimmy, and Jimmy's questionable, so Jimmy still might play. I definitely gonna have to give it to the Heat. Even though I do believe Joel Embiid is gonna have a fucking field day on Bam Adebayo and the rest of that Heat.
Yeah.
Other than that, I still
Yeah,
think
man. Yeah.
that the Heat still walks away with that win because Hero's having a great year, giving you 20 points a game, finally doing what he's supposed to do. And they're a good shooting team. So I think that they continue that, and we'll see what they have to offer. But I definitely got this a 103 to 101 Heat win.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good score, and I mean it's gonna be tough for Philadelphia for sure. They're missing a lot of guys, and the Heat are missing some guys too. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Kyle Lowry's questionable as well in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably will play. He's actually probable. He's not questionable, so he probably will play. But you got to wonder. Like, I don't think Bam is gonna play in this game actually.
If they
So
have
that's gonna
those two
be
out, then it goes right
yeah.
back to the
I do
76ers.
think
Yeah.
I do think that Kyle Lowry play, but I think Bam is going to stay out. They're going to have Dwayne Dedman is going to start, so we'll see what happens there. I think that Tyler Hero has definitely been on a good run lately. Like obviously last year we were very disappointed in him because he didn't take a step up from
Mm-hmm.
that year they got in the finals. We saw what he could do in the finals, but you thought he was going to take another step up, and he didn't. And finally this year he's actually stepping up, here and there, and in spurts he definitely is, and he's bringing the team, to a top four performance in the East, which is definitely good for them. I mean, it's going to be tough for a team like Philadelphia to match up with the small guys that Miami has. I do agree that Embiid's going to go off and probably get like 35 and 15 rebounds. But I don't think that's enough for them, for Philadelphia. I think that Miami's going to have a lot more 3-point shooting with Duncan Robinson. PJ Tucker is going to be shooting threes. They're definitely going to have obviously Tyler Hero and Martin
Mm-hmm.
shooting threes. So they're definitely going to have their guys doing work. I don't think that Philadelphia has the firepower other than Embiid and Tobias Harris to really put up a performance that they need to in this game. I think it is going to be a slightly more like a lower scoring game because, like I said, both these teams are missing pieces. So I do think it will be lower, but I think it's going to be a 5-point game. It's going to be 105 to 100. I got Miami winning this one just because the pieces that Philadelphia is missing. But
Right.
honestly, if they had Shake Milton, then
It'll be
and
a
Tyrese
lot better.
Maxey. I honestly would have taken Philadelphia with
Philly.
Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton, but I got this 105, 100 Miami.
No, definitely. Like a lot of these matchups, I had to take into big consideration injuries, and
Yeah.
you'll see one specifically coming up where it basically decided the game. Just injuries
Mm,
in themselves, or not injuries. I'm sorry, injuries in COVID basically, but
mm,
health protocols decided the game basically. So we'll get there, but you definitely see that a lot in this year, and it definitely plays a factor. So that's why this game was hard to decide because of basically you don't know exactly who's going to be on that court.
true.
But
True.
either way, it should be a
So,
close game, a great competitive game on Saturday, and one of the two top games from that night.
Definitely.
So the second game that night is another one that's pretty much two top contenders. Yeah, Raptors really ain't top in the standing, but we got the Raptors versus the Bucks on Saturday night, and I think it's
Mhm.
going to be a great showing. Um, People are sleeping on the Raptors, but at the end of the day, Van Fleet and Siakam are finally doing what they're supposed to do. Van
Mhm.
Fleet giving you 22, 5, and 7, a big point guard, and then they surrounded him with lengthy ass wings, including Siakam with 28 and 5, and Anunoby giving you 19, 5, and 3. They're looking very good. Like I said, the reason why people are sleeping on them because they're sitting at eighth in the rankings at 28-18. But at this point, almost every damn team besides the top four in the NBA are almost sitting at 50% or just a few games over. You know what I
Nice.
mean? Like
Right.
everyone's just doing that. So yeah, they're eighth, but it's not like they're that far off from being a real competitive team. Obviously, you got the Bucks. We talked about the pieces that they have. Uh, they won't have any Drew Holiday this game, but even then, they still got a lot of other pieces. Giannis doing MVP things. Uh, Middleton's a hit or miss for me, like we just talked about. We think he's Dollar General Kobe. So yeah, he's gonna give you his stats. I'll give you
Love that.
25 and 5, but I don't like the way he gets it, you know. And for me, you know, you got no Drew and you got no Brook Lopez. The best person, third best person in this game at this point is your boy Bobby Portis. And Bobby has been playing his ass off, stepping up
Yeah.
for a lot of people when it comes to injuries. And right now, he's
Yeah.
giving you 15 and 9. So with all that, even without Drew, Bobby's playing real good, next man up. Honestly, at this point, how can you go against the Bucks? I mean, Van Fleet and Siakam are doing good things, but like there's also a reason why they're pretty much 2018. Now,
Yeah.
granted, 2018 is a few
Not
games
bad.
off from 26 and 17, so it's really not that bad. But the Bucks have just played a few more games than Toronto.
Right.
So at this point, it's a very good matchup. I think it's going to be a 5 point game, though, not necessarily a ass whooping. But I mean, I just literally earlier watched Giannis versus the Warriors, and like the amount of times I watched that man take 2 steps from the 3 point line and dunk literally makes no sense.
Right.
So I think once you get him going in most games, it's really hard to stop and catch up. And against the Raptors, yeah, it's gonna try to stop him a little bit. But I don't think that anyone can stop him. So that's why I give it a 5 point game because they got the lengthy bodies to stay in front of him. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a 108 to 103 win for the Bucks. I think it's another good game by Bobby Portis. Like they, Grayson Allen, anyone, they seem to be having 1, 2 players just really stepping up and doing what they're supposed to do. So I definitely like what the Bucks are doing right now. And I definitely think that they walk away with this win against the Raptors for sure. What about
Mm.
you? Who you got?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like the last time that I'm sorry, Milwaukee played the Raptors, it was just recently, early in January, and the Raptors won. They won by 7. But here's the thing, Giannis wasn't playing that game.
Exactly.
So honestly, I mean, this game, I'm gonna just say it straight up. I got the Milwaukee winning, but here's why.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Middleton is gonna have a great game this game. I think that Anunoby is not gonna be able to handle Middleton. I think this is a type of game that Middleton could easily get a 30-point game. You're right that obviously Portis has been playing great. Grayson Allen's definitely been playing great. Even obviously Giannis has been doing what he needs to do. Uh, Definitely playing really good. And I know that these like records they do seem pretty close. Like yeah, they only got 6 wins over the Raptors, but the teams that Milwaukee has been beating has been a lot better than the teams that the Raptors have been beating.
Oh yeah.
And the Raptors are playing on the road, and they're 8-7 on the road so far, and that's not a good record. So they're basically almost
I think
500
they're
on the
used to
road.
playing at home with no fans, though.
Yeah, that too, that too. I mean this doesn't make it that exciting, but I'm sure it doesn't make it like that much pressure
It
either.
makes a
So
difference for them, I feel like.
for sure, yeah, no, not as much pressure. I don't think, possibly, but it's gonna be tough environment. Obviously, this game is probably gonna be on TV, so it's gonna be a type of game that is gonna get a lot of eyes. I just think that Anunoby is not gonna be able to guard. Middleton. I do think that Siakam is going to have a good game. He's probably going to get close to 30 in this game because they're going to need a guy that can score, and Fred VanVleet and Siakam seem to be the guys that are scoring for them.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that right now you're seeing Milwaukee play a lot better than they were in the first half of the or first quarter of the season. So, this quarter, pretty much towards the half of the season, the first half of the season, they're playing a lot better than before. And I'm expecting bigger things from them. I think they're going to keep stepping it up and up. And as long as they get guys like Middleton involved more, then and if he's able to play as well as I think he should in this game, then I do think that they're going to win. And I think they're going to win pretty handily. Honestly, I got this game, 13-point game. I got Milwaukee winning 114-101. Pretty handily.
Yeah, no. I mean, I didn't give it that much. I only gave it 5 points because they do got length and they do play decent defense.
They do.
But at the end of the day, Milwaukee definitely should walk away with this win, no doubt. I just think that the Raptors find a way to keep it competitive. At the end of the day, without Drew, Milwaukee don't have anyone to stop VanVleet.
True.
So that's something I took into consideration. But either way, Milwaukee's definitely playing great basketball. They're definitely, they might not be in the ranking, but they're definitely top 2 in the East right now. Just because of the fact that they just won the title, you still got to put them above someone like the Bulls.
Right.
At the end of the day, we don't know exactly how the Bulls are going to perform in a 7-game series. So,
right. Until we see them do it, you can't.
Until we see them, exactly. So I definitely still got the Bucks as top 2 in the East, and they're definitely doing big things. And I definitely see them walking with this win easily. So definitely a great way to cap out a Saturday night game. You already know 76ers, Heat, Raptors, Bucks. Those are going to be some good games on Saturday, and I personally can't wait to watch them. Then we just go on to 2 games left that I want to go over. One Sunday and one Monday. Usually would have stopped that Sunday, but Monday, you'll see why I want to talk about Monday night game. But Sunday, the game I want to go over, I don't know how competitive it's going to be, but it was going to be Jazz versus Nuggets on the 16th. Right. The reason why I say I don't know how competitive it's going to be because as it's looking right now, we got it looking like we got a couple.
Out. Yeah. And
couple 10-day contracts playing each other. Barton's out, which has been the only consistent person behind Jokic. Bobo's out. Jared Butler for the Jazz is out. Hassan Whiteside is out. Pretty much both teams have been kind of struggling. And now they got players that are out. So who knows what this game is going to give you. This is the one where I got kind of where it was like a 7-point game, a win for the Jazz. Because at this point, besides Jokic giving you 26, 15, and 7, like I said, your next consistent player is Willie Barton, and that shouldn't be. He's giving you 15, 5, and 4, and no one knows what's going on with Aaron Gordon and his inconsistency, but he's only giving you 14, 6, and 2. And he should give you way more than that, especially when at the end of the day, I would consider him the second option on that team. But it looked like he never seen, and Michael Porter's out for the rest of the year.
Jamal Murray's out too, so
tried to dirt dunk, got stuffed by the rim, and then was out the rest of the year. Michael Porter literally done. So at this point, even when he was there, he was very inconsistent as well. So even with him there, I always felt like losing Murray just drastically just dug the Nuggets' identity into the dirt, and they couldn't find a way to get it back. Which I didn't understand how, because you lose Murray, but you pick up 2 people like MPJ and Gordon, which should leave you with shot creators, and I don't get what happened there. So that's why I got it like a 7-point win, probably 116 or 109 for the Jazz, because Donovan's giving you 25 and 5, Gobert's giving you 15 and 15, and Bogdan's giving you 18 and 4. Man, they're playing good basketball. Jazz are doing exactly what the Jazz are supposed to do, and they've been doing it for years now. And it sucks because they're not a team that seems to get any better.
Right.
They're on the same level for 3 years now. They're not doing anything to add more pieces, getting better. You've already established Mitchell and Gobert ain't going to get you to a goddamn title. So what's next? So I don't know about what's next, but at the end of the day, the Nuggets are definitely a team going in the opposite direction when it comes to they're just falling apart. I didn't understand how they could fall apart so bad without Murray, but it's clear that he was such a big part. So we'll see what's going on. I got it a Jazz win, 116 or 109. But I definitely think the Nuggets are in big trouble, truthfully, at this point, being serious about where they're at this year. So what about you? Who you got?
I agree with you, man. I think they're in trouble. I think they're the one thing. I mean, the reason they're doing so bad, I think, without Murray and without Michael Porter is they're missing playmakers and shot creators. Like, yeah, they got Gordon, they got Nikola Jokic. One thing about Nikola Jokic, he's amazing in the post. Like, yeah, he can shoot the three. He is not like a guy that can create his own shot. He's a guy that either gets in the post or obviously gets like a pick or two in the three and takes the three. But NBA, obviously. So a guy like him, he needs a guy that he can pass the ball to that can create their own shot and really go inside. A guy like Aaron Gordon is not doing that. Really, other than Will Barton, who doesn't really get that many shots up a game, you really don't have that many guys that can really make their own shots. So it's going to be tough for a team like Denver to really go against a team like Utah, because Utah actually has guys that can create their own shots. Obviously, Mitchell, we know he can do that, but you got guys like Bogdanovich who can easily do that. Even like Royce O'Neal, who's really good in the pick and roll. Towards in the middle, in the elbow pick and roll. He's really good at that, and they do a lot of that with him and Mitchell, giving them the alley oop. So, and Mike Conley as well. He can actually make his own shots too. Create his own shots. So they definitely got a lot of guys that can do that. So I definitely believe that, if you're looking at this, the offense is going to skew towards the Utah's favor. I think that it's going to be tough for Denver to win, missing so many pieces. Right now, like, yeah, if you look at them, they're both around the same in the standings. But if you look at them really, like, the trajectories, Denver's looking like they're moving down, and Utah's going to be moving a little bit up now that they got Mike Conley back. The last week and a half. So I definitely think that this game is Memphis's to win, and they beat them recently as well. So I think that they're going to beat them again. Last time they beat them by 7 points, and this time I actually got it probably even a little bit more. I think I got this a 10-point game. I got this 111 to 101.
Hey, no, obviously it's a tale of two teams going in separate directions. And not what you really would expect. But either way, when you got Gobert versus Jokic, you always got to take a chance and see what that matchup is looking like. Definitely want to see what they're doing.
Best offensive big man, best defensive big man.
Exactly, and that's always a matchup you got to love. So here's a matchup most people, I don't know if they want to love or got to love, but this is why I wanted to bring up this one last game on Monday the 17th. And it's the Nets versus Cleveland. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I want to bring up that game? Because, granted, the Nets are number 2. Cleveland is number 6 in the East. They're actually pretty decent this year at 24-18.
Yeah, they are. Young team playing great.
So the reason I want to bring up this game, because at this point where we stand right now, the Nets are – the Cavaliers are projected a 71% win. Right. You're like, how? How? And this is why I said where basically COVID decided this game. Projected to be out for this game for the Cavaliers is Rondo, obviously.
Right.
And projected to be out for the Nets, we have Nick Claxton, Patty Mills, LaMarcus Aldridge, Joe Harris, and KD.
Yep.
So at this point, everyone expects the Cavs to walk away with this one because at the end of the day, the Cavs have been playing good defense this year. I'll be honest, it was hard to choose for me because you're not gonna sit here and tell me that they're playing in Cleveland. They got Kyrie. I don't know if this is a state that Kyrie could play in, but you're not gonna convince me that Harden isn't about to drop 30 on these niggas.
I think he will.
But the problem is they have no role players. So last night they had no role players, but they played great because their big three played great. But if you only have one of two of the big three and you still have no role players at this point, I'll be honest, I don't know. I really want to give it to the Nets, but literally with like no Patty coming off the bench either.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough loss right there.
That's the one that worries me. Like no Joe Harris, no LaMarcus. You could fill up wings and you could fill up big men, but if you have no one to back up Kyrie or Harden, that's a problem. And what are you gonna do? Put the ball in Cam Thomas' hands, and I don't even know if he's playing. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
at this
right, right.
point, I don't even know. But I'll be honest, I'm still going to choose the Nets because like
Mm.
I'm just not. You're not
I was
gonna
gonna
convince
say, like,
me
it looked like you were going towards Cleveland's way for a second,
because
bro. Like,
that's what the stats are pushing me to.
right.
But it's just not gonna convince me that Harden's not about to drop these motherfuckers off.
Mm.
Like my man is literally averaging like pretty much 8 rebounds and 9 assists. Uh, and that's why I think that he's gonna pretty much control that ball, still give you what he needs to give you, and give you his 25 a game. So obviously, Kyrie's gonna do what he do. It's gonna be a close game though. I definitely think that because of all these injuries and because a lot of people not playing, I'll definitely have to give it probably like a 107 to a 113 win for the
Mm.
Nets, and it's gonna be competitive. It's gonna come down to the last few minutes. But the Cavs don't have no one to really close the game off for him. So that's why I got it going that way. Yeah, Garland's gonna play good. Allen's having a great year. He's probably gonna eat because there ain't no big man to guard him with
Right.
LaMarcus and Claxton out. But that's still not gonna be enough, I think, to stop Harden and
Mm.
company. So that's why I got the Nets still winning, even though with all those injuries, every prediction index pretty much have the Cavs winning.
Cavs winning, right. Well, I mean, yeah, it looked like you were going with the Cavs for a second, and honestly, I mean, a lot of the guys that are making the predictions, they got a point. I mean, with all the injuries, it's tough not to pick them. I mean, like especially Patty Mills, that's a big injury. Obviously, KD,
Man, no
we
point,
know what he can
no
do.
backup point guard is
No
worrisome.
backup point, exactly, and they're gonna have no really big men. Another guy that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be out is Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's out, and
The Cavs
they're
got
gonna have
nothing but big
Sharp.
men.
Exactly. They got Jonathan Allen, and obviously Evan Mobley's been playing incredible. Probably, definitely one of the, top three
Marketing.
for Rookie of the Year for sure. At this point, arguably. Obviously, you know, they got marketing as well. You can definitely point that out. That's great, and it does look like it's in their favor. But for me, I mean, Kyrie coming back to Cleveland, the place he
Right,
was drafted in, the place where he wanted to get traded from because
right.
his career was going to get ruined by LeBron, and now he's coming back, and he can only play in away games, and this is definitely one of the games that he's going to come out for. I don't agree that Harden's going to go out this game. I think the
I
guy's going
think
to
it's
show
gonna
out
be
is
Kyrie.
Kyrie. I think Kyrie's going to
I
get
could see that.
35 this game. I could see him getting
I could see
35.
that.
I could really see him going off this game, showing out for Cleveland. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of love there too, because he did get drafted by Cleveland, so he will get some love from Cleveland. But it's definitely going to be a game for him to show out and show what he can do. He might have to play a lot of minutes that game too, and that's going to be a reason for the Nets to actually have him there. Playing away games. I do think that the KD injury is going to be tough because if he was there, I think this game would be 100%. And that's now it makes it around like 60% for the Nets. But I do think that they're going to close that out in the end, and it is going to be a little
Mm-hmm.
closer. But I got this game 108 to 104. Nets close it out towards the end, 4 point game.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. Like, it's gonna be a competitive game, but not. I mean, Cavs ain't scrubs,
They're
but like
scrappy
I
though.
said,
They're scrappy.
they're
Yeah,
scrappy and they're gonna fight, especially with the injured and very very decimated Brooklyn team. So
yeah,
they'll make it competitive, but I don't think with at least two of Kyrie and Harden that
exactly,
they lose. He's not.
exactly. I mean, if Kyrie wasn't there, I probably would have even
Then
said,
yes.
yeah,
No,
but
if Kyrie wasn't there, I would have gave it to Cleveland.
yeah,
With no
yeah,
big men and no other
yeah,
help with ball
exactly.
handling,
Right,
Harden wouldn't have been able to do it by himself. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. I would have gave it to Cleveland at that point, but not with Kyrie. You're right. I didn't even think about him going back to Cleveland,
With
showing out.
Cleveland,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah,
you got to show
yeah.
out,
You're
especially because
right.
there's
You're right.
one of the only like 30 games left or 20 games left he can actually play. This regular season at least.
You're 100% right. So yeah, no,
But
I
I mean,
definitely agree with you.
but Cleveland definitely looks good. In the standings. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're up there with the rest of the league. I mean, obviously they're above some teams that people thought were going to be above them, like Charlotte Hornets. I was almost going to call them
Mm-hmm.
Bobcats.
We missed
But
those days, huh?
yeah, they changed names so many times. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of people thought obviously Boston was going to do better, New York Knicks were going to do better, Atlanta was going to do better,
Raptors.
and Charlotte. Well, Raptors are doing better than a lot of people thought that they are because
I would have thought they were doing better than the Cavs.
for sure.
This year I would have put them ahead, over the Cavs.
Right, but
Right
last
now,
year,
Cavs over Hornets, Raptors,
you would have thought
Celtics, Knicks, and Hawks.
you would have thought the guys that made the playoffs last year, like Charlotte,
At
Boston,
least.
Knicks, and Atlanta, they all made the playoffs. They're all like worse than Cleveland right now.
And worse than the Bulls.
Right. So
But that's no surprise right there, though.
That's the NBA, though, and that's why it's so amazing talking about it, and I love talking about the NBA.
Yes, sir.
Crazy storylines, incredible January so far, and it's just gonna get better and better. I mean, obviously, we're coming into the pretty much halfway point of the season, and then obviously we got All-Star break coming up, so we're gonna see a lot of the teams really making that push, and it's definitely a great episode. And
yes,
again, we really appreciate you guys listening to it, and if you guys want to check us out, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please check us out. If you want to watch this episode in its entirety, please check us out on YouTube or on our Facebook page, or if you want to talk to us on social media, we're definitely there to answer your questions.
No, definitely. You know what the deal is. We love the fan interaction. We're here for y'all. We're here for us. We're here for sports, man. We're here for it all, man. And we want to make sure that you guys keep getting the content that you love and the content that you want. We want to make sure that we're providing you with that content, so we want you to let us know what it is, and that's how we do things around here.
And definitely want to keep you guys updated on the more things we do, but we really appreciate you guys listening to this episode, and we'll be back with another one of Who You Got with
MELO
and RADO. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.